use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for war, man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, right girls, let her tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
He looks great. He really does. He looks like somebody who was throwing a knuckleball in 1924 as the Great Depression approached.
He looks the part.
What was that hand
What pitch was that?
That was my knuckleball.
That was your knuckleball?
The knuckler.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a 50-year chronicler of athletes thinks the knuckleball, after 50 years of covering baseball, is thrown with 2 fingers. The hook 'em horn sign is how you throw the knuckleball.
Charlie Huff taught it to me.
It can be thrown with 2 fingers, just not your middle and ring finger.
Yeah, technicality.
Yeah, that's how it used to be thrown.
Hook 'em.
Thank you, Billy.
It's his knuckleball.
Thank you.
Yep.
I invented the knuckleball.
Yep, sure did.
Damn right.
So Greg Cote's in character today. He's pretending like he's from 1919 because he's ushering in baseball season. Why are you making faces, Billy?
He's pretending like he's
Yeah,
from.
he's
I mean, I
pretending.
feel like Greg has just come into the room from the past. I don't understand. This isn't a costume.
Right.
This is Greg.
Yeah, why are you calling it a costume? This
Yeah.
is my uniform.
It is a Greg Cote Tuesday. Do you have it back in my day?
I don't. Doggone it.
Right.
It's
You know?
typically the first appearance of the week if it's on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Right.
So you're wearing a costume today. So.
You
Well,
are
it's not a
selling.
costume, though.
You are
It's a
selling a
uniform.
recycled book of back in my days, but you haven't had a fresh one in years, right?
Right.
You're just selling
Months.
old stuff.
Months, I'd
Yeah,
say,
it's
not
been
years.
months. The book is flying off the shelves, and the Pride of a Lion we're still really proud of. Somebody for only the second time ever, somebody at the Panthers beach celebration Sunday came up to me and said how much they enjoyed reading the Pride of a Lion. So I really appreciated that.
That's your parade correspondence?
Yeah.
Because you didn't give us any of this yesterday. You just gave a sunburn yesterday and said you were out there for hours, and now your reporting is that someone complimented your book.
Right. I had a video that I did, but it was not played by your show, so I can't. I'm not responsible for that. I availed it to the show. They didn't play it.
Was it not good enough? Did it not meet our standards?
I
Was it
thought-
not
I
funny
thought-
enough? I am told that you took very poor selfies all weekend, that you don't know how to take selfies.
Well, the problem was I should have gone like this,
Right.
and gotten a panorama in the background, and instead I just went like this. So my infamous Cody nose is front and center on the video, which I'm not real proud of.
All right, let's see that video that Greg Cote thought we should have played yesterday of his parade correspondence. By the way, he looks in this photo, I'm just going to say, like Fort Lauderdale. The elbow room has looked something like that for 50 years, and many, many things have been snorted up nostril tunnels like these.
I'm Greg Cote from the Greg Cote Show podcast, reporting live from Fort Lauderdale Beach, where the Panthers championship is being celebrated before thousands of fans. The Panthers are about to depart the bus and come to the stage.
Trying to get the commercial music out of here.
People in front of the stage, thousands more. The
Wow.
cops are estimating
Very
a quarter
close.
of a
Oh,
million
God.
people here.
Ah, the schnoz.
Everybody who's anybody is here, except, you know who's not here? Connor McDavid. Hey, let's celebrate the Panthers even further on the Greg Cote Show podcast that
Yeah.
dropped Monday
Yeah,
morning.
yeah, that's too bad. It's too bad we didn't get to that yesterday.
Talking out of the side of your mouth. You having a stroke?
Nailed it.
This is the inception of his narcissism. He leans back in costume and just enjoys
Uniform, not costume.
He leans back in
fine.
uniform and just enjoys something from yesterday that is self-involved, not interesting in just his nostrils.
Right. Yeah, we didn't. Back in my day, we didn't have any of those newfangled
There it is.
phones that served as cameras. What's going on? there.
All right. There are sports things I want to get to, including Inter Miami having the most amazing and wonderful weird ending that didn't feel like a victory, even though it's the most historic moment in the history of South Florida soccer. I think that's what we witnessed last night, and I think
It's a low bar.
Well,
A tie is the most famous.
yes,
one.
well,
Jeez.
they gave up the 2-goal lead
Glory.
late. They scared everybody, but all they needed was a draw, and they advanced.
So it was a good tie, huh?
Yeah, it was. You want to poo-poo a tie.
Finally,
Yes!
no, but finally, Stugotz has been
My
saying.
tie!
Stugotz has been waving around that Bengals tie from 7 years ago as important.
It hasn't been since 2005 that was the last time an MLS team didn't lose to a team from South America in a competitive match. Inter Miami also was the first team from the Americas to beat a European team in a competitive match. They went undefeated in a very difficult group. I do think it's the greatest achievement in club history, getting to the knockout stage of this tournament. That being said, it should feel a lot better. It didn't feel good after they blew a 2-0 lead to Palmeiras, and the end of the game kind of felt like you were on a razor's edge because you weren't really aware of what was going on in the other match. So it left a lot to be desired in terms of feeling fulfilled. But for a club that is only 5 years old, to make it to the knockout stage of this tournament is incredible.
Can you explain, though, Cody, as someone who's covered soccer in this market since the Fort Lauderdale Strikers of 1978, can you give me a feeling comparable to that mess from last night where you get a wildly unfulfilling fulfillment?
Well, if I'm going way back, the Fort Lauderdale Strikers went to the Soccer Bowl, the Super Bowl equivalent
Wow.
of the NASL.
Soccer Bowl.
In
Is it on a Sunday?
In 1979. And Bulletin, Lionel Messi wasn't the first big superstar to play down here.
Hold on a second, Greg. Hold on a second.
Soccer Bowl Saturday? I mean, it should be on a Saturday. We'll get back to that later, but it should be on a Saturday.
Let your son get situated here so we could talk 1978 Strikers, please, and the Soccer Bowl.
Thank you.
Okay, it's not that far back. I lived it, as you can tell by the way
Yeah,
I'm
we got it. We got it.
Okay,
Keep it moving.
no, that 1979 Soccer Bowl team of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, they had Gerd Müller from Germany, one of the all-time
course
great
they
players.
did.
Right.
They had Nenny Cobillas from Peru, one of the all-time great
One of the
players.
first Hispanic words you ever learned, correct?
Nenny Cobillas? It could be. I don't know. I don't chronicle it.
Cobillas,
I don't catalog
right.
that, but Cobillas.
Cobillas.
Cobillas. Who's that Teofilo Cobillas?
Your glasses are fogging
I
up.
know they are because I'm not used to being in a heavy wool uniform.
And now you
this.
look
It's
like Joe
ridiculous.
Zagacki with the sunglasses again.
I can't win. They're either
Josie?
fogging up or I'm
No,
not.
keep your glasses off. Give me
Okay.
the glasses. Just keep
Okay.
doing back in my day as Zagacki. And please, video, find the Zagacki sunglasses and put it in picture, please.
Okay, I just don't like to act like this is the first time that we've ever had anything special happen in soccer in South Florida because it isn't. But to Mike's point, this is the biggest accomplishment for Inter Miami by far. I mean, the winning the League's Cup, it's an oversized trophy for a new tournament. It means very little. Winning the Supporters Shield, you may disagree with this, Mike, but it's a consolation prize that's only bittersweet if you follow it up with a first-round playoff exit. So this accomplishment is by far the biggest, and I also love the fact that
By far the biggest what? Finish the thought, historian, please. By far the biggest what?
by far the biggest accomplishment for Inter Miami thus far in the Messi era.
And what does it mean within the context of 50 years of covering soccer in this market when I'm calling it a wildly unfulfilling fulfillment?
Oh, you're totally wrong. You're totally wrong. And now what's ahead is also fascinating because Messi goes up against his former team, played there a couple of years coming out of the pandemic. He played for Paris Saint-Germain, and it could have been the Brazilian team.
Botafogo.
Yeah, and everybody would make fun of that if only for the name, but they won the Brazilian Championship in
It's a great
2024.
name. It's a great name.
And they also just beat PSG, which is the reigning Champions
Right.
League winner.
So it would not have been an easier match, but I think it's a sexier match for Messi to face his former team.
Great for
Sunday.
storylines. But look, no matter over the course of 50 years, you had an MLS side beat a two-time Champions League champion, and Porto had won most recently in 2003 a Champions League. So they're a club of prestige. It's a difficult group. You have European blue bloods in Porto. You have a club that's 125 years old from Sao Paulo that's decorated. You have the most decorated club in the history of the world in Al Ahly from Egypt. Not a lot of people had them coming out of this group. And for a moment there, they looked like the class of the group. It looked like they were winning this thing easily. To go through it undefeated and get to the knockout stages and set up this incredible matchup, which will be undoubtedly very difficult for them against PSG, for the storylines alone, it's incredible. It's a dream matchup that you only see in FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you saying blue bloods so much? Why?
I said it once. I mean, to try to explain it in American terms, do you know about Porto's early 2000s Champions League victory with Jose Mourinho at the helm?
Yes, thank you for the reminder.
Well, they're always in European competition. I know they're from Portugal, which may not be perceived as like the Bundesliga here.
I'm the only reason I'm stopping you or slowing you down, okay? Because you have been talking blue bloods since you bought your way into the University of Miami program. You have been you've been using the phrase a lot, and it's usually something you were doing only with college basketball.
I'm trying to explain it to the Americans in the room.
Okay.
Because and I appreciate it.
Because you're poo-pooing the accomplishment. And I would say, I reached out to people at the club, and they're like, yeah, this is the biggest thing that we've ever done. I think they've made $20 million to this point through this competition in advancing to this point. From a business standpoint, it's a huge success. From an achievement on the football pitch, it's an incredible achievement that many people doubted. For Messi to be doing this, he just turned 38 years old, to be carrying this team of a couple of old, you saw that Suarez goal. Yeah. I mean, form is temporary, but class is permanent.
Brilliant.
He has his old running mates from Barcelona and a bunch of like journeymen and young guys from MLS to do that, to go toe to toe and beat the likes of Porto and come back. If I
can correct what it is when you're saying that I'm poo-pooing this by calling it a wildly unfulfilling fulfillment. Ultimately, it is a fulfillment, but try to explain to people that a tie where you cough up 2 goals late and you end in a tie. Try to explain to them how it is that qualifying that it means something historic because of the difficulty in the class of people when you're trying to sell this over a paywall to tomorrow's fans for the World Cup, because you've already got soccer fans. It's not like soccer fans. The reason Messi is here is because everyone understands in soccer around the world where genius is appreciated, that there are some things only he can do, and my God, what an honor to be able to get him to do them in Miami for a team that we can care about here. So I don't mean to poo-poo what the accomplishment is. I just mean when you're holding on for your life at the end as a viewing experience, you don't feel great about the game.
No, and it should feel better. If Inter Miami had either come back from 2-0 down or they exchanged goals, it would feel a little bit different. Leaving that stadium, you would have thought Palmeiras won a world title of some sort.
Right.
But I would say, and I've talked to people that cover MLS, you can make a solid argument that this is the most impressive achievement that a professional soccer team from America has ever accomplished in getting to this stage. Look at what MLS has done in this tournament. They haven't exactly covered themselves in glory. Inter Miami is standing toe-to-toe with Titans from Brazil, Titans from Portugal, the most decorated club in the history of world football, and now they get to the knockout stage against the reigning European champion in PSG. It's, like I said, a dream match, and they should be very proud of that despite how last night felt.
What do we think, 5-0 PSG?
PSG's been difficult to read. I do think that they'll clobber Inter Miami. Inter Miami defensively and we saw it late in that game, they don't have the defensive personnel to really, I think, stay organized, not make a mistake, and hold off and keep PSG at bay. PSG kind of struggled a little bit with Seattle Sounders yesterday, and they lost to Botafogo, so it's not like they're riding high on great form either. Noon start, but it's in a dome in Atlanta. Inter Miami did win their lone match of the group in Atlanta. So we'll see. You'll have incredible theater. You'll have Messi rising to the occasion because he's shown in big-time matches he will turn on an effort that you're not used to seeing. So we'll see this. A lot is on the line in terms of optics, and there's this whole narrative that PSG got better once they got rid of Messi, and Messi isn't exactly beloved by PSG fans because of how he left. So it's a cool matchup.
It should be said that they knew going into last night's match that a tie would still advance them to the round of 16. So they knew immediately that they were advancing, which was the big prize, even by losing that late lead. And to Mike's point, even if they lose to PSG, and I don't think it'll be 5-0, I think 3-1 or something like that, but even if they lose that match, it's still a massive accomplishment for Inter Miami to get this far against this type of competition.
Can the goal today be somehow to get Greg Cote into the world in this outfit with no commentary on his sunglass sunburn and his Joe Zagacki? Jeremy, you were trying to get in here as Billy zoned out on soccer. We cannot get him into
I was
hockey
locked
and
in.
soccer.
Inter Miami, PSG,
No,
Saturday.
no,
It's
you-
on.
I cannot
At
get you.
noon.
I can't get you interested.
Indoors.
I was just looking at the table as we speak.
Yeah, Jeremy, you were saying?
The etymology of poo-pooing something comes from the 1590s as a vocal gesture expressing the action of puffing anything away and being dismissive. Poo-pooing something.
We want Greg Cote to say something looking like this, so think of things that perhaps are your best and hottest takes, because there is chum in the water around Pat Riley. Our show was very disrespectful yesterday, making a lot of old jokes.
Yeah, not me.
Well, I've just sort of seen this. I saw it happen to Don Shula when there was a better replacement. Jimmy Johnson was available. Don Shula never forgave me for not respecting what he thought would have been. He thought he deserved more grace.
Do something after 1973. Jeez.
It's fair.
I think Pat's largely gotten a pass for his age.
Pass Riley, some call
It was
him.
a was a pretty shocking stat that I said he's presently the same age that Al Davis was when he said Mortensen.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem that way. He's a young soul, and we don't think of him as old.
Well, he looks great.
You guys will concede that you were flagrantly ageist yesterday. Yes.
No, I will
No.
not concede that.
We were based on
yeah.
results,
Yeah.
not on age. I don't think at any point we really brought his age into
And I
it.
think, I'm pointing out that he's the same age as Mortensen when the optics of that Mortensen thing where, man, the game has passed this Titan by.
Mortensen.
When you have a highly public incident, the way that he had with Jimmy Butler, in which his pride got in the way and he seemed out of touch with today's player, it's fair to question we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we didn't at least mention that. Our show has been so pro Pat Riley over the course of a full score. Okay?
Okay.
The fact that we come out and just highlight the fact that maybe, just maybe, this old guy is losing touch with the game. He even said it himself on South Beach Sessions. Maybe I'm washed.
We questioned Sham's credibility just because he reported something that may look like Pat Riley might have dropped the ball on this one.
Well, you say that I did that.
I said we.
You did say we, but you meant me. And because you were in the other camp yesterday, and what I was saying is when player names are involved, I just kept asking, I don't know what is true, because I could not believe that it would be true that you would deny yourself Kevin Durant because you needed to keep either Highsmith or Jovic. It didn't seem like it could be true to me, and so I just wanted to verify it for myself. I have not and do not question Shams' credibility.
Ultimately, it was clarified by Shams because what happened was in the article, the phrasing of the sentence that ultimately included the names of Highsmith and Jaquez, it made people interpret that as individual pieces that wouldn't be included in the trade. What ultimately he went on McAfee's show and said was that if the Heat were going to make the trade, it either needed to be Kel'el Ware, and if it wasn't going to be Kel'el Ware, attached to the Wiggins and Rozier part of that trade was going to be Jovic, Jaquez, Highsmith, a first-round pick, and multiple pick swaps. That was what the Suns were ultimately asking for. The Heat seemingly drew the line not just at we won't give you all of those pick swaps, but also we don't want to give up Jovic, and they had a hard line on what that deal was going to be.
And I would just tell you guys, I know everybody wants the superstar. I know you want to get the guy. But I will just say, if you're objecting to the Heat not trading Ware, a 20-year-old with a future and a fixed contract who plays like that, might not be as valuable as 1 year of Kevin Durant, but that's a bloated Durant contract, and you're now no longer working with salary cap efficiencies, even as you get rid of Rozier and Wiggins in order to onboard him. I understand the Heat not wanting to trade Ware, and I understand the Heat not wanting to trade Ware unless it's in a package for Giannis.
But that works against what Riley has done his entire time down here. It's win now. Go get Durant. I'll sacrifice Ware. Go get Kevin Durant so I have a chance to win next year.
And going off of what Jeremy said, it seemed as though they did have an option to not include Ware and just simply include Jovic in that other package, and they drew the line at Jovic.
What I will say to that is no matter what, the Rockets were going to have more to offer. Now, the Rockets would have had to probably step up their offer from where it ultimately ended up.
Well, make them do it.
Included Jovic?
Right.
Sure, make them do it. But if the Heat sort of viewed it as, hey, you know what, this is the line that we want to draw, then it's where they drew it. Either way, they were ultimately going to be outbid if the Rockets wanted Durant bad enough.
A lot of DMPs for Jovic down the stretch.
Pat Riley needs to kill someone, right? Like, there's no fear of Pat Riley in being the Godfather anymore.
Right.
There used to be a thing where, like, you would go in, you'd be like, oh, you'd be like quivering. You're like, I don't want to cross this man. And now yesterday, people were making jokes that he was dropping pills on the floor and you had to pick them up because dogs might get them. So, like, I'm just saying, Pat Riley needs to put the fear of God in these people again. I don't know if he goes and he sits down in one of these negotiations, just slaps the person across the table in the face or does something. He needs to do something to get them afraid of him again.
You started off by saying he has to kill someone. Now he's slapping them in the
I'm
face.
just saying, if he doesn't have it in him anymore,
maybe an overhead
then maybe
projector.
Just a quick,
You should get an overhead projector and call out Shams.
He put those rings to use. Don't just drop them on the table. Drop them in someone's skull. You know what I mean?
So you want us to create the CGI that makes Pat Riley Robert De Niro in The Irishman, where we have him kicking someone's ass at 80-plus years
Not CGI.
old.
I want him to do it. I want him to deck someone across the face with those rings.
Imagine that Shams report.
Lose a diamond in someone's forehead. You know what I mean?
Imagine the report. Riley slaps opposing GM.
Then when you sign the guy that you punched in the face and the diamond is encrusted in his head, you take that diamond out of his head, you put him in his championship ring. You say, you know what? I promised you a ring. Here you go. Boom.
Isn't
with
that
my
just
diamond.
Ace Ventura?
Did that happen in that? Yeah. My life, I'm starting to realize the way that I see things should work ends up being a lot of movies. Like yesterday, I was saying how we should like inject a virus into AI to kill it.
Yeah, it was just the plot of the last two Mission Impossible movies.
I haven't seen the last one yet.
Now you don't have to.
Is that what happens for real? Oof, you saved me by 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Yeah, but it's the thrills along the way, man.
Oh,
This
man.
airplane stunt is
It looks
crazy.
amazing. I can't stop watching the trailers. I haven't even gotten to it yet because I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to go to wherever it was. I think it was Paramount Plus. I couldn't find my way through
a tough one.
through the thicket. I couldn't find my way.
That one's a
I
tough
Got to
one.
do a search.
I wanted to get there, and so I just got stuck in trailers and making of the movie, and I feel like I've seen the movie.
Trailers for sale or rent.
He's right.
Rooms to let everybody sit. No pool, no pen.
Well, you
None
can
of you know
money.
the song.
No cigarettes.
How do none of you know the song? If you-
By no means. King of the road.
All right, let's do this better, please. If you're going to interrupt the show,
Yeah.
when is that song?
Why should we know
No,
that?
because he expected you guys. Look,
He sings it all the time.
He
I mean-
expected, but here, Chris, the funniest part about this is he doesn't have the rest of the words, and he was mad at you guys for not knowing words he also did not know
Right.
because he did not know.
there.
He did not. You didn't get there. It was just.
Well, I know the lyrics that are like, I'm Greg Cote, and that's how it was. Back in my day.
Yeah, we all
I
know
know
that.
those lyrics. Yeah.
But Dan is
But
right.
then he
We
was
all
like,
turned into Eddie Vedder. I mean,
Man,
it means by no means.
all right, enough. Your glasses continue to fog up.
Can I ask you guys, this is
Poor
a
fitting.
thought exercise, and we'll see on where the Miami Heat land on this. I would say as half the Eastern Conference tears its Achilles, it's a good time to get better. And I think it's irrefutable that Kevin Durant makes your team better. I can't believe we let Jonathan Zaslow get away with that bull.
What happened to you yesterday? So Zaslow's feeling more and more confident these days in a way that's not really explainable, and he got a bonus that kicked in when the Panthers won the championship, so he's going to be around more. But you came in today, and I haven't seen this from you before. Usually you're okay saying someone's full of right when they're in the room with you, but you waited a full 12 hours before getting mad at Zaslow and calling him full of
No, I called him on it like a little bit during the show, but it kind of sat with me. I'm like, this guy of all people. If they traded for Kevin Durant, he would be hanging from the ceiling celebrating the move.
He's a good player.
Awesome player. He's a Hall of Famer. Might be hit. This is your boy, Kevin Durant. This is your boy, Pat Riley. This is your boy. Don't talk bad about Pat Riley.
I'll take Durant at 50.
I'll take it. He'll make that shot until he's 66. I mean, what is he talking
yesterday,
about?
make me
care. Make me care about Kevin Durant. I'll come here. What? Are you serious?
Something's up with him. He thinks he can just come in here all willy-nilly, say whatever he wants. You got to punch him in the head and let him know.
Let a
like,
diamond
you can't
hit.
just come in
Riley
and say whatever you want.
Have
Yeah.
Riley slap him.
Exactly
All
right.
So Billy, this is
Across
now,
the table, just
so,
quick.
okay, so is
Let
it,
him know.
all right, Billy, he's 80 years old, so whatever you imagine that move to
Zaz?
be, Zaslow?
He looks horrible.
He looks good.
Well, I
like
guess for 80, he looks good. He
Morning
looks horrible
wood.
for
No,
28.
He looks good for 80.
He looks bad for his age.
He looks good.
He
for
really
80.
does.
He looks like 10 years of morning radio. Okay, he used to be a vibrant person, and now just what happened to him was 10 years of don't work in this business in the morning. It'll gut you.
So he was vibrant, huh?
I never believed him to be vibrant.
I think he was always that, right?
He was.
but-
Known as for 20
all
years.
right.
He's pretty much been that.
At 6 a.m., 10 a.m.,
Look,
3 p.m.
it's
Is Boogs producing?
It's an act of cowardice that you would wait until the next day to break out the fake Zaz at him and call him full of the next day when he's here tomorrow again, and you won't say any of it to his face.
I mean, I would say it to his face. Jonathan Zaslow knows how full of he's being there, and that's cool. That was his role yesterday. Jeremy's playing that role today. So let me ask you this question. Here's the thought exercise that I want to do. I'm sorry, Jeremy. You and I have had reasonable discourse today, and I think you also would admit that if Kevin Durant were acquired by the Miami Heat, for any one of those packages, you'd be aboard.
I wanted Kevin Durant.
There's no
I
surprise there.
can acknowledge I wanted Kevin
The
Durant.
Kevin Durant trade was announced before Tyrese Halliburton goes down. We all admit Tyrese Halliburton tearing his Achilles opens up what we all perceive to be a pretty wide open East even more. Do you think
Making you wonder at the time if it's better for Giannis to just stay in Milwaukee.
right, even though they have their own Achilles injury to deal with, and he's on the books, and it's difficult for them to improve on their roster. If we just shift the order of events, Halliburton tears his Achilles. Does Miami ramp up their trade efforts to get Durant, thinking that now this East is even more wide open, us merely improving gets us in a position where I can talk myself into Hero, Bam, and Kevin Durant being the best threesome in the Eastern Conference?
It might. It might change the way that they view it. I think that the reason you saw the Heat draw a line in the sand where they did and not make the decision to give up every available asset that they have. And I think the conversation that gets sort of diluted is comparing their assets to others. You can't do it that way. You're one franchise that has a certain amount of assets to improve your team. So where they drew that line was, do we think that Kevin Durant, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Kellerman Ware alone, with a bunch of guys who were picked up in the margins through, minimum contracts essentially, is enough to not just win the Eastern Conference, but win a championship? Because what you're doing is sacrificing your ability next offseason where you have everything available to you, including what would be going into the final year of a Tyler Hero contract, a guy that several teams would probably want to trade for and extend in the final year of a deal, or if they didn't, a huge number that would be able to fit into a window. And you could do anything that you want next offseason. So they go into this with Kevin Durant and they say, is that going to make us a championship winning team? Because just going hasn't been good enough. If their answer to that is no, that's why you have to draw a line at keeping Jovic, because you would need to be able to use him and Duncan Robinson, who can be cut for 50% of his deal, as a way to upgrade at other role player positions.
Why are lines drawn in the sand? Find out
I'll
for
find
me,
out that
please,
origin.
because you were really drawing a lot of lines in the sand while Billy wants Pat Riley to slap someone with a fencing glove. It's been 10 years.
A ring.
It's
I want a diamond in someone's
It's
forehead.
been-
Embedded, right?
It's been 10 years since Pat Riley told Danny Ainge of the Boston Celtics through a spokesman to shut the bleep up.
Do it
and
again.
You're saying he needs to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah, no, like actual. I'm not. I would, guys. Look, for the record here, let me be crystal clear. I would never encourage physical violence. However,
you were just doing
I'm not known as the Godfather. You know what I mean? Like if my name was the Executioner and I've gone 20 years without executioning, then all of a sudden people start wondering, why is he still known as the Executioner?
Yeah.
Exactly
He's
right.
lost an execution step.
Exactly right. Someone needs to kind of, you go in there. I'm not saying the biggest person in the room. Maybe Donnie Walsh is in there doing something. Who knows? And you just go and boom. Knock him off his chair or something.
Donnie Walsh.
Is Donnie Walsh still at it?
Always make me laugh.
In fairness, the Godfather doesn't do the dirty business himself. He sends his lieutenant.
But he does enough that you're afraid of crossing the Godfather.
But what you need to do is you need to have Andy Ellisberg
Yes.
with some brass knuckles taking care of business.
Andy Ellisberg.
With brass knuckles.
Because when
With
that
brass
guy
knuckles.
walks into a room,
He's
that's
menacing.
A presence right
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
come on.
Don,
guys.
no,
saying,
he's right.
Billy started it.
Thank you. Andy Ellisberg looks like the guy, and this is very specific, but Andy Ellisberg looks like the guy in Ocean's 11 that takes you into the back room of that casino, and you're not coming out. You're going to meet Benedict, you sit down, and then it's an empty table with some metal chairs, and it's Andy Ellisberg there with some brass knucks made out of championship rings.
2 walk in, 1 walk out.
I appreciate, Billy, that you guys, after a lifetime in South Florida, have an appreciation for what Andy Ellisberg looks like. Okay, you have created him as the muscle in casino, and it's not exactly how I think of Andy Ellisberg. He is their chief
What are you
accountant.
doing?
No,
You're doing
What are
this.
you doing?
We
Yeah,
haven't
What
done
are you doing?
anything.
I haven't
Yep.
used being the muscle.
See nothing but muscles.
None of us have done anything for the record.
Yeah.
This is going to fall on us. We don't like it.
Nope.
Well,
Guys
it's
are
going to
wearing
fall
brass
on you guys for a reason, and that reason is you summoned Andy Ellisberg
Think
as
strong.
You're not showing the brass knuckles that
No.
he's wearing.
as Pat Riley's muscle when all he needs defense from is your disrespect. The only
Who's disrespecting him?
all of you guys, look, Chris Cote, Greg, I don't know how you feel about this. As someone who's a longtime columnist in this community, and someone who upholds righteously the idea that the columnist is a standard bearer for having grace about how you criticize people. Your son, Chris Cote, your son yesterday made jokes about Pat Riley spilling his rings on the floor now and dropping pills on the floor. And
Chris said that.
I don't think I said
It
no,
was
he did.
you.
I said marbles.
It
I
was
said he
you.
I said he
in-
lost his marbles.
All
Instead
of
of
you-
purposely dropping the rings, it's now
All
like,
of you-
oops,
This is
I dropped the
pathetic.
rings.
We've given him plenty of grace.
Happens.
This show is not called for his head. This show is giving voice to barely given voice to a narrative that has been out there about Pat Riley for a very long time. We are not
You guys
the hypercritical Pat Riley
You were
show.
doing senility yesterday. You guys were doing ageism
No, I'm doing-
and senility yesterday.
No, I am calling into question something that is out there, which is why has this guy not been able to pull off a big deal when his whole thing is I pull off big deals? What is it? And we're looking for reasons.
Billy, you are condoning violence here. I keep seeing
No,
you
I'm not.
condone violence.
I'm not doing so.
We're grabbing at reasons, and one of the reasons that people often grab in this situation is, well, has the game passed this person by? We highlighted a couple examples of which he'd probably admit he misstepped, and us pointing to his age is just a piece of data for you to chew on. I've often said he gets to write his own ending. That's a full stop for me, but it doesn't save him from criticisms.
On the subject of Kevin Durant, I was telling you, I've abstained from reporting anything around Durant over the last couple of months. I've not asked any questions of anybody. But the last time I checked in on Durant, I told you guys they want picks. Picks is what they want. The Suns need to rebuild everything Ishbia did there. That's what they want. They want picks. I can sit here now and say as a transaction, I believe South Florida would agree with what I'm about to say, which is no promise of Giannis. If I can get KD for a package that does not have Ware in it and gets rid of Rozier and Wiggins, I want to make that trade and have this year of Kevin Durant. I think we can all agree on that. That's
Yes.
part of where it is the anger resides on some of this. I think you'd have consensus there on how could Pat Riley not have done that. And when I say to you guys, well, what am I missing about the reporting? Okay. What am I missing in I'm not questioning Shams. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense that you wouldn't trade Jovic and Highsmith and dump those contracts for Durant. Like, I wonder about the picks. And again, what Phoenix actually wanted and how high Houston was going to keep going if Miami's offer kept getting better, because Houston didn't have to give up its assets, which is the reason we're having this whole conversation of how couldn't Miami outbid Houston? And what if I tell you Phoenix wasn't going to let Miami outbid Houston? Phoenix wanted picks.
Well, but if you're Miami, you make Houston give as many picks away as possible, as much as possible.
But that might have been the case when you were doing the reporting on this. Shams and the Miami Heat, via Barry Jackson, have come out and said what the deal was and what the tipping point was for Miami. There weren't that many picks. It was mostly players, and they drew the line at Jovic in one package, or they had an option to go down the Ware path. That's what the deal was. Those are two very reputable reporters that said that. It's not this bounty of picks that it was last year. The data changed, and I think Jeremy made exceptional points. I'm not going to sit here and argue getting Kevin Durant is a championship move. I will argue it makes you better. It makes the East way more competitive, and it may be a move away from being championship contending. But has that been the standard for the last 3 years? Because what I would say is getting better should be the objective. Or go the other way and get a hell of a lot worse, because we have a shining beacon of an example that presently has your first-round pick, by the way, that doesn't want to drink any of the beer in the locker room, that seems like they're going to be around for 15 years because they did it the other way. So are you going to tread water for 3 more years? What's the decision that we're making? Because is this move making us championship good? Has that really been the standard for 3 years? Because I don't think so.
I think they've been trying to upgrade it at role player positions around the core they had, because they saw that core go to championships and thought that they could extend more out of it. The misstep we know was that they extended the core that existed with Jimmy for too long if they weren't going to extend him for the long term. So now the question just becomes, what is your best and most pragmatic move? Because like you said, if you don't think you're a championship team with just Durant, you need to be able to make some other moves in the margins. That's why you keep Jovic. But if Jovic and pick swaps are part of where you're ending up breaking up this deal, because you've decided you're willing to give up one pick and you're willing to give up Jaquez plus some other pieces, you're drawing a line in the sand, which goes back to biblical times, John 8, where some have perhaps erroneously interpreted Jesus writing in the sand as drawing a line in the sand in order to address those who were about to stone a woman caught in adultery.
All right, excellent.
This is not a time to be pragmatic.
Shams' writing was confusing. It was his fault. Barry saying there was nothing remotely conflicting about the reports, but then admitting the writing was confusing. That was rich. Your information, guys. Barry Jackson and Shams, I simply want the most accurate of information, please. That's all I was asking for.
This segment is presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DLS. Terms and conditions apply.
A potent heat dome is building over the United States, sending temperatures into the triple digits. There are heat warnings all throughout the Midwest through Thursday. It's going to be 100 degrees plus.
Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. The oceans are all burning and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die.
Any number of ways. David Samson, Nothing Personal, is here. We will find out if he will attend an assortment of funerals before the end of this segment. It is a new segment that has caught on throughout the globe. Everyone's playing it. Samson is exceptional at it. Why are you smiling, Billy?
Just because Adam McKay is going to die in like his least satisfactory way possible. He's going to like slip in the bathtub while he's been worrying about all this other stuff killing him.
When I was in Iceland, they told me that there's a glacier that makes up 9% of the country that's now projected to melt within the next 100 years. And when it does, it's going to raise the entire sea level by a centimeter. And what they told us is that all of Florida goes underwater if it raises 4 centimeters. So they said every single coastal town will be wiped up. That's just 100 years from now.
It's sort of happening now with fires and fire tornadoes and all sorts of flooding and all sorts of strange
Iceland's going
places.
to raise up from the sea.
When we say it's going to be in
like
120
years,
meters. I know, but when you say it's going to be in 100 years, there are going to be gradual apocalypses all over the globe before that.
The volcanoes are going to be insane when that happens.
Anyway.
It'd be exhausting being your guys' brains. Jeez Louise.
I just got told. It wasn't my fault. They just told me.
I mean,
I
just stop thinking for a second.
And that's coming
Enjoy
from
life.
me.
I mean,
like,
David Samson, Nothing Personal is the name of the podcast. And I think, David, Have you gotten it like exactly totally wrong on the A's and Las Vegas? Because I did see a stadium being built and I did see public financing, and you were very out in front on being loud about the A's will never play in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I may get that one wrong, but not yet. Not yet. The groundbreaking was done indoors in a temporary sort of building on the site because it was 1,000 degrees. When we did Marlins groundbreaking, we did it outside like men. And it was so hot, it was insane, if anyone can remember that. But groundbreaking is simply performative. I don't think you've seen a stadium being built in Vegas because there's tractors, but there's been no actual building. But it's coming, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it, but not today. I don't need to admit it today.
Only men know how to go outside.
It's strange. Go outside like men.
Well, I think this might be a reference to the Club World Cup, where Borussia Dortmund on an 84-degree day were like, we're keeping the subs in the locker room. It's too hot out here. Chelsea's manager has also said it's almost impossible to train. Like, buddy, you're in Philly. What are you talking about?
Can you guys get me some information on what Pablo Torre is reporting, please? There is some buzz around what he is reporting today about the NFL.
What did Belichick do now?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Dan, this is a good one.
Go ahead, David. I don't know. You have information on this? I'm just getting it now, but I don't know the details.
Is this the Russell Wilson thing? The collusion?
Yeah, I want to say that how we are operating on all cylinders at Meadowlark without going too inside baseball. Matt Koch and I do a live show every day from 7 till 8:43, and the email came in about the show at 7:15. And the purpose is we're supposed to get some advance notice so we could work in a topic or two, talking about it to help PTFO and talk about an NPDS. And you're saying that you're getting it just now in the middle of your show. So how can you comment? I haven't read one thing, haven't watched one thing. It never came up, never heard of it. But I guess he found out that there's a smoking gun of collusion because Lamar Jackson's microphone didn't work, or that Lamar Jackson is dating Jordan Hudson. I can't remember which is which, but something got found out.
I will say this to back up David, not to get too inside baseball, but sometimes like we get teases that they're going to break a big story, but get no idea what it is, so we can't promote it as though they're state secrets that we're going to scoop them on, so no one can go listen to their episode, where if we knew, we could help promote it better.
We're not great at promotion around here, so I will tell you for the first time that tomorrow night we are going to watch, some of us, I don't know which ones, you're all invited, with Tim Kirkshin from 6 to 10 p.m. We're going to just be watching baseball games with Tim Kirkshin and an assortment of his friends. What are you laughing about, Samson?
I would love the opportunity to share what it is to watch baseball with Tim Kirkshin. It's like watching with an encyclopedia. And it's just anytime you can watch a game with a scout or a real member of the media or a former player or manager, you'll realize that the game of baseball, it's like a symphony or a ballet. There's so much going on during the course of a game that your audience may say, my God, that sounds like chalk nails a board or something. I can't remember the expression, but no, it's going to be awesome tomorrow night with Tim Kirkshin.
Will the old-timey baseball player be there? Because David Samson, looking at Greg Cote right now, would you say that you have ever seen anyone who looks more like, I don't know, I'm going to say Casey Stengel, but maybe Connie Mack than Greg Cote right now?
He looks to me like he just came off the set of Field of Dreams.
Thank you. That's
like
what I said
Archibald,
earlier.
Moonlight Graham.
Right.
Just walked out of a cornfield.
Yep.
Barefooted with those talons.
Yes.
I've been told we're going to get you a pedicure here. That we're going to get you
Next week.
Stugotz, can you tell me you have twice cut the toenails off his talon feet?
It was an honor. Yeah.
One of the toenails was seen by pilgrimage by thousands of our fans in a glass case. What would you say is the texture of the talon nail when you cut it with the pliers you were trying to use on his talon feet?
Like a rock.
It's like a thick seashell.
It is. It's hard to get. It's hard to get the clippers around the nail to actually cut it.
It's a very.
You really got to
thick-
dig in.
It's a very thick seashell, and it's the consistency of bone.
Sure.
it would be very hard to break. Like Stugotz did something.
I broke it.
Stugotz did something Herculean by taking I'm going to say a hatchet and a mallet and getting one of his toenails off because it is the feet of a demon. No one disputes it. The pedicurist, whoever that person is, will run from any room screaming when she sees him unveil his leathery feet. His skin is the texture of a catcher's mitt of that era.
You know, there's a scene from Dumb and Dumber when Harry and Lloyd get a pedicure, and it is from nails that have not been exactly tended to in their previous lives as just a, cleaning animals in a moving car. And that pedicure scene is a hilarious scene in a hilarious movie. And I'm picturing the machinery that will be required to get a pedicure because I have suffered a little bit from that as a runner. My nails are not awesome. And I rip my nails in order to keep them short. I don't clip them because I feel like I have more control by ripping them. And so I'm a nail ripper only on my feet, not my fingers.
You are a man.
That's not. I don't know what that is. I don't know what he's describing there. What are you
never heard
doing?
of
What do you mean?
anything
ripping your toenails off?
What do you? Wait a minute, Stugotz. You're
All right,
acting
show
now
us.
with surprise after saying it was manly to rip your toenails off.
Well, I was making a
Put
joke.
it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is it manly to
we
rip
broke
off
dirt
your
outside.
toenails at Le Batard Show? Your grooming of your feet. This is I would think that you are a very meticulous tool user, delicate and careful around your feet.
I'm a meticulous, careful toenail ripper. And so you get an edge. It's all about getting an edge when you're ripping off, and it's different with your pinky nail versus your big toenail. It requires different angles in order to start the rip, and you have to start it exactly right because while running, if your toenails are too short, it can actually sting, and if they're too long, it can cause blisters. So you have to be a perfect ripper, and it took years of practice. You're not born knowing how to rip toenails and different angles, but you can learn it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need to tell all the people, again, nothing personal. It is broadcasting excellence every day. 2 hours now, double the David, this kind of broadcasting eloquence.
Like chalk nails a board or something.
That's nails on a chalkboard.
There it is.
Yes.
He's talking.
Whatever the saying is.
He's talking too much, and some of those words come out in the right order, and some of them do not.
Like chalk nails a board or something.
Do you have any opinions on Kevin Durant and the Miami Heat? I do. Greg Cote was not allowed to say anything in the last segment. And Greg, get near the microphone now. I know you're very comfortable as the old-timey baseball player, but I went to you a couple times trying to ask you something about respecting Pat Riley and never heard a syllable from you. So the floor is yours, sir.
Tough. It was tough to get a word in edgewise. I'm thinking of taking out ad space on your show just so I can say something. Any thought that Pat Riley is too old for the job is ridiculous. Any criticism of Pat Riley needn't even mention the fact that he's 80 years old. I think his mental acuity is beyond question. I don't think age is a factor at all. What I think Heat fans should be frustrated about is that Kevin Durant was gettable at a price far less than I think anybody imagined. Houston did not pay a lot to get him. The Heat could have had him if Riley was not unwilling to give more than he was. That's the frustration. The Heat didn't lose out on Kevin Durant because they could have had him. They were just unwilling to give a fair market value for him. That's what's frustrating to me.
So that's a bad job by Riley, though.
Wait, so it sounds like
it's got nothing to do with age.
So you're criticizing him, but
Yes, I am, but it has nothing to do with age.
You could be sharp as a tack and still be out of touch with today's players. Look, I'm 39 years old, and I see OKC's championship celebration, and I'm wondering what the hell's happened to the younger generation.
Well, but this is him going in that direction, though, by valuing Kellerman Ware more than he does Kevin Durant. I disagree with that. But that's what Riley is doing right now.
Yeah, but Riley disagrees with that. He's never operated this way.
No, he hasn't.
Right.
Which is a surprise. He's never cared about draft picks. He always wants the big-name veteran. And this was a total reversal
Samson,
for him.
can you hold on for just a second? Greg Cote, I would like for you to look into that camera right there, please, if you do not mind. Or actually, here, look into this camera right here. I want to get as much of your face as we can. Which camera do you think he should be looking at?
I think this one
That's
right
the good
here.
one.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, you got it.
So just give us your hottest take here as your glasses fog up. And as you're an old-timey baseball player.
I love how he looks at the screen where he is. No, don't look at yourself.
Just straight ahead
look
at that
the camera.
You talk to the audience right there, and you
Okay.
give them your...
Still looking at yourself.
Look, as the guardian of the Miami Herald and local journalism, as a man who might defend and protect, respect, and gatekeeping of Pat Riley and the end of his career in Miami, give us your best take on fair criticism of Pat Riley and unfair criticism of Pat Riley.
Okay, I thought that's what I just spent the last 2 minutes doing. Are you asking me to repeat myself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he does that.
I mean,
Into a camera.
I just did that. I just said it's not about Pat Riley's age, okay? But in
Dan
this,
forget? I mean, geez.
in this case, he did not want to give enough to get Kevin Durant, which is a disappointment and a surprise. Now, to Dan's point, what he said yesterday, if he goes out and somehow gets Giannis now, everything is great, and he looks like a genius. But nobody thinks he's going to do
You
that,
look
right?
like the old man from Up.
That's all I wanted. I just wanted his glasses to fog up more and more, and I didn't care what
Fog
the
up?
words were that came out
I
of
know
his
you
mouth.
did. I know
I
you did.
just wanted the hot air from his breath to fog up his glasses as the take kept getting hotter. But David, your thoughts on not getting Durant? Do you have, on nothing personal, did you have some sort of viewpoint that's different than other people who are at this trough?
Yeah, I just would tell you that Pat Riley should be getting thank yous from his fan base, not any criticism. Kevin Durant is, you want to talk about overrated, Greg, you missed the opportunity. At $50 million in an expiring contract, Durant is not getting you closer to a title. What he's doing is taking away any sort of flexibility you may have and giving false hopes to the players that he's with, thinking that he can be better. And he can't. So the reality is that any amount of deal that Houston gave, I viewed it as an overpay. You think that they didn't have to give up anything. 5 second-round picks, it's not nothing. There were
it's not a single
8
first.
live bodies given for one, an overpaid guy who has proven that he can go to a team and bring him right into the crapper. So Pat Riley, as an octogenarian, is actually firing on all cylinders, although 80-year-olds can't fire on all cylinders, but most cylinders not being seduced by the name.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Can 80-year-olds fire? Can any 80-year-olds fire on all cylinders? So he's taking the hottest of the more extreme takes. All I have heard is that the Rockets made a good deal getting exactly what it is that they needed for their team, not just as a veteran, but as a shooter. The last 3 years of Kevin Durant have no precedent in the sport in terms of efficiencies from jump shooting. You're on the other side of this. I've heard no one say that's an overspend at 1 year. They didn't even have to extend him, did they? Did they extend him? Or did they just take the 50?
That has not been reported yet.
It's not even a
took the
trade
year.
yet,
Right.
folks.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear, the NBA, nor the Rockets, nor the Suns announced any trade. It was breaking news leaked on Game 7.
I have not heard anyone saying what you're presently saying. You're going the other extreme here in a way that's aggressive. I have not heard anyone saying that Kevin Durant is not someone who will be additive to the Houston Rockets and is exactly the kind of thing they need.
I'd be far more worried that they're going to get Georged. And that would concern me far more if I am.
He's not Paul George. He's an unprecedented scorer.
It's not even that. It's also they're not giving up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the bevy of picks that were traded for Paul George. Not that Jalen Green is a bad player, but you're moving Dillon Brooks, who's been a journeyman and a defensive-oriented player, 1 first-round pick. Those second-round picks are almost more valuable to help you facilitate other trades down the line for role players that maybe they won't be able to do. But the benefit, if you're Houston, is you've already built your core around Şengün, around Thompson, these young players who are ascending. You're viewing Durant as just an upgrade from Jalen Green, which he is as the scorer that you need down the stretch in games, which was proven during the playoffs.
Yeah, they needed
for them, it was the right move.
For them,
to
it
give
makes
up
sense.
that
The Heat,
amount
it does
to
not.
give up.
Yeah,
Right.
and they're not done. They have so much more to trade and continue to improve on their roster. And if Miami,
or just let it grow.
Who's to say if Miami comes up to the table and says, "All right, we'll include Jovic or we'll do the Ware deal," Houston still has plenty of assets to be like, "Okay, we'll go one up." Yeah.
I think you got to wait to see what happens here with all of these trades because you say there's no SGA in this trade. I don't think you exactly know who's in this trade because you have to look the way, and you can look with Paul George with the finals this year with Indiana and with Oklahoma City. There's so many different iterations of trades that happen, and it's not one trade. It's multiple trades over multiple years that bring your team to a place where they weren't before. And we have to see whether Ishbia is going to be smart enough to allow any sort of smart basketball person to do something there. But they're better off with more bodies, different bodies than with Durant, because you saw what they did with Durant. They weren't even in the tournament. So what exactly? You say it's unprecedented, Dan. Yeah, you wrote checks to the guy, and you didn't play in May.
Right, but offensively, he was an extraordinary and exceptional player still. Windhorst said on First Take yesterday, basically, that Durant kept rejecting places to play, like Minnesota, to lower the price so that Houston could have assets to land another player down the line. There are reports that he'll take less than the max in the next deal. They got him cheap on a discount, and if I understand the Heat frustration, if pick swaps and Jovic, if that's actually accurate, and that's all it would have taken, that the Suns weren't enamored with the 5 second-round pick.
I think the overriding frustration here from Heat fans is yet again a player wants to come here, which is hard to do. Get a superstar to say, I want to go to Miami. They haven't always been able to have that player play ball. Recently they have, especially this player, multiple times, and they just haven't found a way to get it done when the executive atop the franchise is the guy historically that gets it done more than anybody else.
People
I just don't think you ever want to overpay, Mike. That's the whole key. And this is coming from a person who made a living overpaying and making bad trades. Mm-hmm. You really don't want to do it because you can get gun shy and you get burned enough times. You stop doing it. And I think what you're seeing of Pat Riley is that his MO has changed when he's realized that those kind of trades can go bad in a hurry.
That right there, you can seize on that and say, that's not my Pat Riley. That's not. Scared money don't make money. Pat Riley's never been afraid to make a move. Now he's afraid to overpay. What are we doing? That overpay for Kevin Durant, a Hall of Famer, while you overpay for Terry Rozier? We're scared. We're suffering PTSD from Terry Rozier, and that's standing in the way. That's been the excuse for the last 3 years. And you know where it's gotten Pat Riley? 10 seed.
Kevin Durant's not a Hall of Fame player today.
Kevin Durant was a 10 seed.
Kevin Durant was a Hall of Fame player 15 years ago.
No, wait a minute. No, David, he's still,
finally people coming around on Durant.
David, offensively, still a top 25 player. David.
Took you so long.
You don't get in the Hall of Fame by being a top 25
player. He's
a Hall of Famer. Don't you misunderstand. He's going in the Hall of Fame, of course, because it's easy.
All right,
but this year, next year for the Rockets, as a matter of fact, I predicted on Nothing Personal, the Rockets will not make it out of the second round with Durant.
All right, we don't need these predictions that we can check in 6 months from now when I see things being built in Vegas and you're still not conceding that the A's are going to be in Vegas. Like it seems like they're building.
He doesn't have to right now.
I don't have to, Dan.
but I mean,
I will when I have to.
All right, but it seems like you're wrong here. Like, and you're just being.
You got to string it out, Dan. He's right still.
Not wrong yet.
Wait to see.
You're being stubborn.
David, in the negotiating room in baseball or outside in business, did you ever physically intimidate others to get your way? Maybe just slap someone across the table, leave a diamond in someone's forehead, anything like that? What's the most menacing tactic you use to get your way?
I weigh 133 pounds. How can I be physically menacing to anybody?
Can you show us your toenails?
So I was thinking about trying to do it. Here's the problem. Now, I have the ability to do it right now, except I don't have the flexibility to do it right now because it would require taking my leg and I'd have to bring the microphone and somehow.
All right, this is what I would like.
I want to see him do it.
So yes, all right, here it is.
Stings.
All right,
I love that tan line.
Look at
Put this behind
that
the
tan
pop
line. Good God, look at that tan line.
You guys
That's
don't
the good
understand
stuff
what
right
you have
there.
available.
Clean feet.
Hold
That
on,
one
I
even
just
has
pulled
a
a hammy.
tan.
All right, those hips are not doing well.
Did you guys notice the tan around the thong sandals? Did you notice that?
Yeah,
we all commented on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure it was
A little late to the party.
because I didn't really
Where are
hear
you,
it, so
Jeremy?
we were all talking over each other.
Okay,
Just want to make sure the
Jeremy.
audience
Good.
understood.
Just don't say that out loud.
Audio medium.
Yes, okay, yeah, excellent. Yep, audio medium. I don't want to play that yet.
He just wants to be mad at me.
Friend or coworker?
Fuck.
Nothing Personal is the name of the podcast with David Samson. He is feuding with Andrew McCutcheon over baseballs and
Owned.
Andrew McCutcheon really got your ass. It seemed like.
Can you admit that you're wrong here?
Let's see what happened here. So Andrew McCutcheon hit you with the rock, and he says to David, "My source stinks." What a laughable thing to say when my source is the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and I have 27 witnesses to back that up. So stick to your Lil channel and do this.
He revealed the source, huh?
Yeah, it's a proud partner.
Journalism.
DraftKings is a proud partner of Major League Baseball.
Bad journalism from McCutcheon, just revealing his source, but his source, Barry Samson.
So that's actually not at all what happened. So first of all, I like Kutch, and it's all good. And Lil channel, I didn't know what that meant. I was thinking Lil Abner. But I don't mind that he did this to me.
Lil Abner, really? So you're somehow going older than Cody today. So you think of L-I''L, you go back to Lil Abner, a 1970s cartoon.
That's the first thing I thought of when he wrote Lil Channel. I assumed that's what he meant.
Is it even
so
70s?
I did respond in a private DM.
60s.
Let's give more context here, David. You originally McCutcheon said there's something up with the baseballs this season, and you went on a rant saying that he's wrong about that. He's just making that up.
No, what I said is his source is bad. I never impugned him personally at all. I merely said his source was wrong. So his response was, my source was the commissioner. Here's the problem. A, unveiling your source, not really what you're supposed to do. But B, he's talking about a meeting before the season started. I promise you, when he says 27 other people, he's referring to 26 members of a team and the commissioner. Wink, wink, there's more than 27 in the room, but I digress. So in that meeting where Rob goes around and talks to all the different teams, trying to build relationships with the players, trying to fracture the union in order to get a better CBA, but I digress. We can talk about that later.
Oh, my God.
What was said was that the balls have a standard of deviation when they are handmade. And I know he said, because he said this to me too. And within that standard deviation, balls can be different. But the specs of the ball are the same. They've always been the same. But there's always different balls. Some seams are higher, some are lower, some are just off with the leather. They're handmade. That's all he said. He didn't say the balls have been deadened or the balls have been juiced. He didn't say any of that. So I merely said, your source stinks because you misunderstood your source, but we're good.
Whose balls are juiced?
Lil Abner debuted in 1934.
Yeah.
Pablo Torre has exclusively obtained a secret document that billionaire NFL owners and union execs alike do not want you to see. It's a 61-page treasure trove, the publicists say, that unveils gory details about how football really works, including previously unpublished testimony and private text messages from 8 NFL owners, 3-star quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and Russell Wilson, NFLPA leaders, powerful agents and executives, and Commissioner Roger Goodell. Journalism is dying all over, especially in sports. Pablo Torre continues to keep it alive by snooping around billionaires and powerful people and their young girlfriends.
You know, Billy.
There's a chance that this episode gets nominated for a Peabody, and I think that is the object of this game. When you have this sort of reporting, and it's a great object. And I assume when we watch PTFO, which we haven't had time to do because we were told about it as a company 25 minutes ago, is that we will find that the biggest thing the owners are engaging in and what all players and unions are trying to find is the possibility of collusion. Was there collusion in not giving guaranteed money past Deshaun Watson for all those years? Is there collusion with free agents or with guarantee clauses? And the answer is it's not collusion that is actually provable in a court of law. There's no settlement coming, but there certainly are discussions that happen between teams and between executives as you're trying to figure out how to navigate today's waters in terms of guarantee language.
That's about enough of David Samson. I think we can all agree.
Thank you.
Look at Billy just came to life back there. What are you pointing at, Mike?
I got a list of people for the funeral.
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to do that, but I don't know how to segue from that to what David's reviewing today because he watched a movie that I watched and
Watched.
George Clooney did an amazing job on revealing to everybody what was happening at Ohio State that was predatory in a way that Ohio State needs to be held account for, in a way that has a great deal of public shaming around how leadership fails young people.
Just so we're clear, the crew, myself, so we're keeping David now. We're doing movies and the funeral game.
Well, this is yes, it's crowded here, and I was about to let him go. They want to play the funeral game, but David would like to talk about this movie because it was powerful. And David, what was the most interesting? It's on Max, and it's Surviving Ohio State. And I know Penn State has gotten a lot of the attention here, and Nassar has gotten a lot of the attention here. But this same thing happened over decades at Ohio State in a way that George Clooney is responsible for bringing to life, at least in part, as an act of activism here. Correct, David?
Yeah, the story is there was a team doctor for all the athletes at Ohio State. And this team doctor took it upon himself to fondle the male athletes and to examine them for hernias while his hand was on their genitals in ways that's not how you check hernias. And when they would hurt their elbow or shoulder, he'd say, yeah, but we got to check for a hernia. And the real thing that you'll learn, and it's not a spoiler, is the doctor who did this, he's dead. He killed himself. And to me, he took the easy way out. I wanted to see him suffer in prison because molesters and pedos don't do well in prison. And he decided that he would not take that chance. And this is a story about money. It's a story about the fact that males can be molested and can be the victims of sexual assault as much as females. And it doesn't get a lot of attention. And it's horrifying to be a big, strong wrestler or a hockey player, and you find yourself absolutely at the mercy of someone who takes advantage of you in a way that you don't even know how to respond to. There's no outlet. And the damn coach, including Representative Jim Jordan, who's still a representative in our legislative branch, was a part of it as an assistant coach, knew about it, claims he didn't, which is wrong and maliciously lying and gaslighting. And it's a movie that will change how you look at victims of sexual assault in a way that is disturbing, upsetting, problematic.
I have not read on about George Clooney and Jim Jordan, but the lack of leadership in there basically being a pipeline for abuse that is being funneled into a pedophile's office in the way, Stugotz, that you have athletes getting injured all the time around wrestling. So you're basically just sending prey to a predator for decades at Ohio State, and seeing it laid out this way. Go ahead. I'm sorry, David. You wanted to say something?
I'm sorry, Dan. I didn't want the segment to end without telling you about a team doctor that we had with the Marlins that it turns out was doing unsavory things. A team doctor who examined me. I took physicals. Now, the team doctor in this story would shower with the athletes. Our team doctor did not do that. He was up in Jupiter, and what he did is he had a bunch of strange things in the drawers, like handcuffs and various things that sexual deviants would use, or people who have a more interesting life than I do. And it was never used on me. And when I found out about it after the fact, I was blown away in that I then was checking on older players. Like, did you know about this? Did you see this? So is there a chance that there are people in Ohio State who did not know what was going on? There is, but not the coaches and not the players around it and the executives at Ohio State, because it was brought to them and they ignored it. Okay. Nothing was ever brought to me during the course of my time with the Marlins about this doctor.
So you volunteered. I'm sorry, I don't even know what to do with what it is that you just...
Should we be asking more follow-ups?
We should, yes.
Well, that's one thing that I would do, but I also want to play Would You Attend Their Funeral? And so
you want the joyful music.
You used to be a journalist.
I'm kind of stuck here. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck.
Just laid one up for you.
I do have follow-up questions, though.
Do that.
Take me through the details of what handcuffs and what were in the clubhouse, because
I didn't say the clubhouse. I said the doctor's office in the drawers where I was having my drawers around my ankle, but they were never used on me.
Yeah,
so
you
none
mentioned,
of these.
okay, well, no one assumed it was used on you. No one
I did. I'm just kidding.
The other guy showered
Wait, but hold
like
on.
That part, you just threw that
That's
in there.
the other doctor.
There's one question, one direct follow-up that we should be asking is, did you have any evidence that this doctor was making any of your players feel uncomfortable?
No.
Okay.
We had no evidence at all. We were absolutely shocked, and that's why I told you I went back to players on our team and said, by the way, did this happen with you? Were you a part of this? And the answer was no. Not one player who was getting physicals or treated by this doctor ever saw any manifestation of these proclivities, whereas in Ohio State, there were issues all over the place.
How'd you find out about the handcuffs?
Oh, only when it got made public and he got arrested and he got sued. This is Googleable. I'm not making this story up.
Okay.
You can search a doctor and with initials that may be DS, and you may find this story.
All right, so I don't know the history of this and where the lines are in the details between deviance and illegalities. But just to put into context what David was saying about surviving Ohio State, which I would recommend to anybody, but it will make you uncomfortable, as these things should, so that people can learn about them. For decades, a doctor with high school boys who are arriving at a culture of sport where, okay, these people know what they're doing, right? It's all about winning. I need to trust the adults here, right? This doctor was preying on kids who didn't know, weren't old enough to know how they're supposed to deal with whatever is normal in the height of college sports, that a doctor showers several times a day with the players, even though he's not, working out or doing anything. And that's the doctor that everyone accepts as that's that doctor. Everyone knows he's a little weird. It's just a fundamental leadership breach that is an indictment of everyone who was in charge at Ohio State, where they put winning ahead of all other things in a way that was really overt and chronicled well in this. Now, please give me some happy music as palate cleanser and sorbet so we can get a little lighter on this segment.
Yeah, funerals.
Funerals, lighten it up around here. The conversations get a lot funnier when it's just around death instead of the serious societal stuff.
By the way, Billy Ray Cyrus is dating Elizabeth Hurley.
Wow. What?
Mm-hmm.
Who's 60?
Whose balls are juiced?
I don't see what the point of that is. What's the point of that?
Why
Why did you do that?
Tidbit. There was a window, maybe 10 minutes ago, to mention that. But I digress. Sandy Alderson. Would you attend Sandy's funeral?
Yeah.
No. Here's why. Sandy was he was with the Mets for a while. He was with MLB for a while. He's someone who I thought was pretty good. Got a lot of credit for doing things, Hall of Famer in some circles. But no, even if it were convenient, I would be sorry because it means the passage of time, but I wouldn't go to the funeral.
Former Marlins utility man Alfredo Amezaga. Would you attend his funeral?
Mezzi.
If I got a bunch of old players together, like if I would call up Miggy, who was good friends with him.
You're making it a party. It's a funeral. I mean,
it feels like his funeral would be a party.
I would only go if it were a reunion. Some sort of reunion of good teams that we had where we could hang out and party and have fun. Right. I wouldn't go like with my head hung low and wear a tie. I'm not interested in that part, but I would definitely go with a bunch of the former guys and talk about the good times.
Would you go to Miguel Cabrera's funeral if Alfredo Amezaga invited you?
I wouldn't need an invitation for Amezaga to go to Miggy's funeral.
But just to hang out with the guys, yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't need it. So the reason why I need to hang out for Amezaga's funeral is he's sort of a fringe funeral, so I need an incentive. For Miggy, I don't need any incentive, though I wouldn't go to Venezuela. So let me actually say, depending on location for Miggy, I wouldn't put myself in jeopardy, but I would certainly go to the funeral in Florida.
New twist on an old classic. Would Miguel Cabrera attend your funeral?
I believe that he would send a fruit basket.
There we go. That's nice.
Wow.
And you would send it to Detroit.
Let's play Would You Attend David's Funeral? Greg, would you?
Oh, wow. If I were invited, I think I might.
Invited.
You decide if you want to go or not.
Invited to a funeral.
Invited?
No, you don't.
Invited. Wait a minute.
Respects,
What kind of answer was that? That's a man who's been slumbering and was not expecting the show to come into his direction.
I was not, to be honest with you.
Caught off guard.
But yes, I think I would attend.
We get an RSVP?
I think I would attend David's
You
funeral.
get the fish or the chicken?
You got startled by our show right
Is it a
there.
buffet?
I did.
And then you made it an invitation-only funeral. David, have you actually imagined who will be at your funeral?
Yeah, I have an actual plan that I'm going to do a funeral in Vegas and have one more big party in Vegas. I'd like to be buried in a Vegas cemetery. So when people visit me, they can visit right off the airport at McCarran and then go right to the casino. Make it easy for them.
We'll go to an A's game before.
We'll sprinkle your
He's
ashes.
right for that.
Little day-night doubleheader.
Documentary, Ashes in the Outfield. How David Samson was wrong and refused to admit it.
By the way, the fruit basket's a better haul than you got the first time.
See you later, David.
Ranks better than Mike Rebello.
This episode is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
You guys have heard me talk as the media shakes all around us and starts to crumble about the ideas that that Greg Cote's show featuring Greg Cote with his son is a business, and God Bless Football and Stupidity are businesses, and Pablo Torre finds out is a business. And so I should tell you by way of promotion that Stugotz is doing God Bless Football more often and is trying to get a running start with pilots on being around 5 days a week on God Bless Football as he grows that. Why don't you tell the people, Stugotz, how it is they can get to where it is they need to get to in order to find all things Gotts on StuTube.
You can also find Stupidity as well. We have a new episode that's out right now. We had Tim Legler on, so he was pretty interesting. You can go to youtube.com/@Stugotz790. That's where you go.
He was pretty interesting.
Classic.
It's not much of a sale for Tim Legler, though. He was pretty interesting. Isn't that Stugotz salesmanship?
I'm just letting you know that there's an episode out right now. We did 2 episodes yesterday. So we're doing Stupidity. We're trying to bring that back. It's doing very well. I appreciate everyone's support. We're doing that 3 to 4 times a week. We'll get to 5 times a week with God Bless Football once football rolls around.
I tell you, when I hear that Tim Legler was pretty interesting.
Who?
Tim Legler.
Legs.
You do seem to be.
Legs was great.
Legler.
Seems to be a tough one for him.
You put like 6 or 7 L's in Legler.
Yeah, I did.
It sounds like you after 12 beers.
Yeah, well, you don't know what's in here. You don't know what's in here. But no, when I hear that he's pretty interesting, it makes me want to listen.
Thank you.
I mean, what pretty interesting. That's big praise.
He was pretty interesting.
Yes.
It's not like maximum sales.
Stugotz
Listen,
is a great
there's
salesman.
a ceiling with Tim Legler, and pretty interesting is the ceiling, and so he hit the ceiling. I was proud of Tim.
I don't think that's the ceiling with Tim Legler. He's one of the best doing it. I think Tim Legler.
He was great.
Okay. I'm sorry that I'm not.
I like to undersell that.
That's not usually you. That's not usually you.
I know.
I want to ask all of you this question about you've heard me lament in various ways the degrees in which sports coverage changes, so that one of the talking points after Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and OKC gives us a championship that I guess people are sort of confused by because they're looking at it and are like, well, aren't all these guys supposed to suffer for a few years before they get that good and celebrate in their early 20s winning the NBA championship?
They just suffered last year.
They seem indifferent. That's the part that annoyed me the most.
They're young, and there's something unsatisfying of customers feeling, for whatever the reasons are, like they have more joy about what the history of the story is than these kids out there that are in their early 20s and didn't even need a veteran of any kind to win the entire sport. But at Barstool Sports, Mark Titus says of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, quote, I have zero respect for SGA. Zero. None. I bleeping hate watching him. I think he's the worst MVP of my lifetime. I think it's a disgusting watch. I think the Thunder are a blight on basketball. I think the way they play is disgusting. I think that there's this idea that they are a team, like a bunch of young guys that come together and play great team defense. They don't. They hack the shit out of guys. And Bob Ryan
I love this.
I'm not going to say he speaks for all of us here, but he speaks from an indignance that comes from Greg Cote's 1919 baseball age. He says of Mark Titus, "Who is this head?"
Classic Bob.
I mean, but when it's not, I would say it's not classic Bob in that Bob has never been this aggressive throwing from on top of Mount Sportswriter. Like when a columnist does this to you, Bob Ryan does not normally hit anybody with "who is this head." Mark Titus is what is new Boston sports, is it not? Is Barstool not new Boston sports coming to take the city away from Boston?
He's not really a Boston guy. Barstool did rise up from Boston, but we were talking about Mark Titus when he had his Club Trillion blog as a, what was he, Ohio State? He was an Ohio State rotational player.
I mean, his point is that SGA is not fun to watch. Do we disagree?
He's not. I mean,
like I kind of see the point he's making. Obviously, he was saying things that were strong takes, but he's not the most fun guy to watch.
Okay, but what do you want? You don't want mid-range. I mean, you don't want somebody who can get every shot that he wants, that everyone has to get out of the way because he's going to score 35 quietly, usually efficiently. What are you laughing about, Billy?
I'm just now going through Bob Ryan's replies, which is great. Because someone tweeted out, "Do people still eat baked potatoes?" And Bob Ryan said, "You know what? I need to reply to that." He said, "Dinner tonight." Then someone else said, "Super serious question. Do people over the age of 50 still read newspaper?" And he said, "What kind of stupid question is this?" It seems as though Bob Ryan's spending a lot of time on Twitter answering people's questions for some reason that aren't directed at him. He's just looking up questions to answer.
We used to play Explain Your Tweet with him a lot. There was one that he had over the weekend that was just a certified banger. It was I was on the beach between 16th and 17th Street in North Beach Haven, New Jersey, listening to my transistor radio when Jim Bunning threw his perfect game against the Mets 61 years ago today. Where were you? Greg, where were you?
I was at the Clevelander.
What was the date again? I'll tell you where I was.
It was Jim Bunning's perfect game against the Mets 61 years ago.
Greg,
from,
you can't do this. You've made up that you saw Wilt Chamberlain's game when famously there's no video of it.
He saw it. I mean,
you're just
give him a chance. I mean,
1961. Well, I was 6 going on 7, so I don't have a vivid memory.
Again,
no,
Bob,
61 years ago.
Bob Ryan hitting you.
Good chance you were home. I mean,
Bob Ryan hitting you with "who is this head?" That one stings if you're Titus. No.
Yeah, he's been in the media game for 20 years, and he's had a respectable career that Bob should have been made aware of over the last few years.
Someone tweeted out, "Am I the only person in America who's never owned a pair of Crocs?" And Bob said, "Hell no."
Bobby.
I'd like to bring back, explain your tweets. I'd like to bring back Bob Ryan. I was driving around this weekend. I heard Peter Gammons on the radio.
Get out of here.
Telling stories.
Still doing it, huh?
Diamond Notes.
Wow.
I believe last weekend, I don't know if this was a taped interview or not, might have been Peter Gammons' day at Fenway Park.
Really?
I think so.
Wow.
How did I miss that?
I'd go. I'd
Well,
go.
speaking of older, not this old, but speaking of ESPN personalities or people that you grew up on, Stugotz, Max Kellerman is about to make his return, and Max Kellerman has been a prodigy in our business since he was 14 years old, and I'd be curious, just people listening to this, what they would think of Max Kellerman leaving First Take, and I guess probably taking some of the nuance with him, because one of the complaints that Stephen A. had about Max Kellerman and getting him fired was that Max was offering context to an argument show when he wanted to do an argument show. And since then, it's become more and more of an argument show. Although I guess we probably all know at this point that Shannon Sharp is not likely to ever work at ESPN again, right? Like that's not.
I don't know.
Well, but I mean, I think we can assume. I think we can reasonably assume that Shannon Sharp would like it to look like he has a chance to return. I don't know that you can be Disney and allow any of what happened there.
Does he need to?
I mean, it helps to be on that platform during the week, but Stephen A. has made it. I mean, I don't I don't know how many people care about this, but Stephen A. just sort of works independently now. He got the deal that allows him to just be on First Take and then do everything else. And in doing so, First Take has been a giant for a long time. Max Kellerman fell by the wayside, and I think we can say Stephen A. Profited off of his decision there in every way, in a way that was really good for Stephen A. and ESPN, but less good for Max Kellerman.
So I searched Max Kellerman on social media because I saw he's calling a big-time boxing fight, and it feels big in part because Max Kellerman is calling this fight. It's his first boxing match in 24 months. He's partnering back up with Jim Lampley, who just himself returned from a 6-year hiatus calling boxing matches.
You're saying Max makes the match feel bigger.
You get
just being on the call.
You get Lampley and Max together on a call.
Yeah.
Boxing has been missing those two on a call. That's what I know. I grew up on those two voices. That speaks to how long Max Kellerman's been in the business, and he's still a young man. But Max Kellerman, I was searching his name on social media, and there's a lot of positivity about, man, we didn't realize how good we had it when Max was over there. And what's happened is, as Stephen A. has leaned into the politics and sometimes going right of center, or at least not nearly as progressive as Max's takes were. Remember when Max was there, a lot was going on in the country. It's not like less is going on now, but his voice.
One of the great insults and indignities of Stephen A.'s career is on his show, Terrell Owens saying on that show that Max was blacker than Stephen A.
Max was often on the right side of these issues, and the more prevalent they get to, Stephen A. is more and more comfortable talking about politics on First Take even, that, man, perhaps they should have let it ride out a little bit longer. That should have aged with some grace, and Max's voice would have been a little bit more pronounced and more appreciated as the times evolved and as Stephen A.'s career also evolved.
Peter Gammon's day is January 9th.
Was proclaimed in 2009, so just 16 years off on your take.
Bob Ryan has defined himself as a Jersey guy in the questions, not a Boston guy. Wow. He replied to a question, do you like black coffee, no sugar, no cream? Bob Ryan has said, only way to go. Yeah. Then someone else tweeted, no one truly loves cauliflower, right? And he said, can't imagine.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Does anyone truly love cauliflower, yes or no?
What do you think Max Kellerman's price would be? Because everyone has a price. What do you think Max Kellerman's price would be to call a Jake Paul fight? Ooh. Because I cannot imagine that Max Kellerman likes the Jake Paul boxing circus, and he views himself as a boxing historian and a gatekeeper for boxing.
Well, but why are you doing that? Views himself. He replaced Larry Merchant. Larry Merchant was the longtime voice of boxing. It's a big deal that Lampley and Kellerman are doing this fight, and this is as UFC has its worst year at the top of 2025, diluted, but at least in part by some of the ESPN Plus diluting of how many matches that they have on UFC. Boxing is trying to make some sort of comeback here, and Max Kellerman is purposely choosing the sport that he loves the most since being a prodigy from 14 years old to make a pretty loud return after 2 years of silence have shown us what, because super unusual for Max Kellerman to just disappear and now return and have value in a new media economy as somebody who sat out the last 2 years and comes back pristine after First Take becomes something else in his absence.
So what do you think he would charge to do a fight?
Everyone's got a number.
So everyone has a number, but this is very much below him and what he stands for as a boxing broadcaster.
So what do you imagine Max makes per fight?
That's I don't. Right. I wouldn't know.
I think because of contracts, he never had the opportunity to call one of Jake's fights because of different broadcast rights and him being tethered to HBO at the time.
I could see him doing it.
When he was calling ESPN, they didn't have the Jake Paul fights. Every time that I looked up that he talked about Jake Paul, he didn't really poo-poo him, to borrow a phrase from earlier. He broke it down seriously and did toe the line that, some of these cards are really good for the sport. They got good boxing cards there, especially the women's boxing game. So he has broken them down seriously. So I think he
You think he'd do it?
I think he would. And look, this fight is being run by TKO, right? TKO has Logan Paul as a wrestler in WWE presently. There's all sorts of rumors of them partnering up with the Saudis and doing more of these boxing events, and Max Kellerman has been brought into the fold. So I imagine it's only a matter of time before he's calling one of these Paul brother fights.
When I say Max Kellerman is a prodigy, I believe he was on New York cable television as a boxing analyst at 14. I believe he had a show at 14 years old, and that was his introduction to media, and he is extraordinary on boxing. It's his favorite sport. I believe Marcellus Wiley's called him a genius, and I do believe that that is so of Max Kellerman. And so it was interesting to watch the changes in First Take over the last 4 years, but also happy to see that Max is returning, and I would imagine with many opportunities. I would imagine that Max with freedom can now grab a number of different jobs that might be more fulfilling than what he was doing in his earlier life.
I don't know what the contract language was. Remember, he got bought out of his contract, and he hasn't done anything really for 24 months, and it seemed as though he was satisfied sitting it out and seeing what the media landscape would be. And I do think that people learned to appreciate him more in his absence rather than him just moved on to the next thing and try to stay in the cycle. It's an interesting case study.
He was 16 when that show started. That's a fine.
Okay. Is it a fine? Do I deserve a fine?
Yeah,
16.
Fine.
Two fines for Gammons, too.
That's a big fine.
I'm not a young man really, but I'm 39 years old. And Max Kellerman was one of the voices of boxing and known as a boxing historian when I was a little kid watching documentaries about boxing. And how old is Max? He's 51 years old.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It doesn't seem like Billy has any interest or enthusiasm for Max Kellerman's return.
No.
Well, he
what
asked
is
a question.
I mean,
No one answered
hold on
it.
a second.
Yeah.
That's not a fair thing to say.
He's asking what's his
I'm
number.
not throwing a party. Hey, it's a Max Kellerman watch party because he's coming back after being gone for 2 years. I have no problem with Max. I'm just asking if he would do a Jake Paul fight.
I agree with Billy. I mean, I'm not going to watch a boxing match because of who's calling it. I just am not that interested.
But you don't love boxing like
well,
that.
I used to.
Well, when I ask you,
We all used to.
But if you love boxing, you're not watching for Max Kellerman. You're watching for boxing.
Right.
It does feel bigger when he does it, just like, when Troy Aikman and, Joe Buck are doing Monday Night Football. It feels like a bigger game. The broadcasters make it feel bigger, but you're not tuning in for the I mean, you've been saying that for years. Anyone can be broadcasting. You're not tuning in for them.
People are tuning in for Canelo versus Crawford, and this is a fight that people have wanted to see for a long time. And you have Jim Gray as a part of the broadcast, Mark Riegel, friend of the show, I think, on the broadcast. This is a first fight that feels legit in quite some time. It's one that people have been wanting to see, and to have these voices from your past come back who were always on the big fights, give it more legitimacy when boxing has kind of become a celebrity circuit and it's been Saudi cards and it's been big and gaudy, and what can we make, what production can we put around this and make it feel bigger? It's been quite some time since people have been wanting to see just two pugilists go in a ring and fight it out.
Those guys on the call certainly make it feel bigger. Greg, is there an announcer that you've actually gone out of your way to watch?
Not
like because he's calling the game. For me, it's Vin Scully. I would go out of my way to watch games I didn't care about because he was calling the game.
Chicken thigh.
I don't disagree with that.
I did.
I'm backing you up. I'm not dissenting chicken. I believe you. Yeah, I actually believe it too. I believe you. MLB extra innings.
Where the hell are you watching this? It's like half our chickens. I believe that's a
There can't be a dissenting chickens. There are no dissenting chickens.
I think you'd be shocked at the amount of people in our audience that had MLB extra innings that went to bed with a LA Dodgers late game and Vin Scully just doing his thing.
By the way, huge update for Dan on Peter Gammons Day. Turns out the city of Boston Peter Gammons Day, that was the one that was declared in 2009. But Peter Gammons did throw out the first pitch on June 15th, Red Sox against the Yankees, and it was declared by the Boston Red Sox themselves, Peter Gammons Day.
Right.
So congratulations.
He has
you
2 days?
Yeah, journalism's dead.
One at Fenway and one with Boston?
Yeah, that's right.
That's a bit
Special
much.
guy.
Greg, would you ever throw out a first pitch at a game when you're covering the team in the market?
After I retire,
Yeah.
maybe.
We'd do it next.
I did have a day in Fort Myers
Yeah.
So that was big.
Okay, so we've
Yeah.
gone
While you were a
back,
journalist.
we've gone back to the wheelhouse. Please get me the sound from that day. He loves to relive that day, but I do want to, for just a moment, talk about. I was waiting for Tony because he's going to be in Vegas this weekend, and it has been a really disappointing year for UFC. I've sort of checked out over the last many years on my fight game allegiances that Stugotz has made fun of, because I really have enjoyed over the years the science of pitting mixed martial arts against each other, and also the lunacy that is making your living fighting other human beings for money. And you have heard and seen my distaste for Dana White and all things UFC, and chief among them is using and paying that labor force 20% as he gets rich, sloppy, and powerful. And now I'm reading reports that he doesn't even do the press conferences very much anymore because he's moved on to other things, and there has been a dilution of product where ESPN Plus is asking you to pay for ESPN Plus, and then you got to pay for pay-per-view, and you still get commercials, and they're doing too many fights. So they get decent main events, but they've got a problem, right, where they just sell us O'Malley and build him up, and he's a fraud because they just need, and they're getting giving a Mexican fighter Rodriguez fights that he shouldn't have just because they've got to get product out there. And I've always loved boxing more, but this particular carnival is taken over, and now boxing has been taken over by the Paul brothers, where McGregor's top. UFC hasn't been the same since McGregor left. I am stuck in an algorithm where I am just getting an assortment of McGregor Coke videos. Just McGregor on Coke, where it's just highlights. I'm stuck in an algorithm. I can't stop watching.
Is there any
them.
other kind?
No, I mean it's just him clearly coked up. And the sport hasn't.
McGregor video.
But here's what I wanted to talk about. The sport has not been the same. He had 7 of the top fights pay-per-view of all time. A legitimate star. Goes into boxing, makes it a circus. You guys say that doesn't cheapen anything. He made $100 million. Mayweather made $300 million. And somewhere the Pauls get rich and laugh. But the fight game, the arts, the people who love what the science of this is.
The sweet science.
It gets engulfed by the circus. But I didn't want to go as long as I have without mentioning the retirement of John Jones, one of the great athletes of my time and one of the great disappointments. I do not understand how a fighter of that magnitude, one of the best pound-for-pound people I've ever seen in the fight game, 50 years, how he would have the demons that he would have that would prevent him from, being remembered like George St. Pierre or Anderson Silva or whoever it is that you consider the best of all time. He retired so quietly while looking like he was ducking a heavyweight fight at the end of his career, and it was not the punctuation that a champion of that magnitude deserves, but his excellence is just marred by the amount of medicating that he was doing that made him reckless and specific to the fight game as an individual brand that has some demons, because how do you think these people climb to the top of fighting other human beings for a living? There are going to be demons all around the disciplines.
It could be posturing, though. Don't you believe? He's taken extended leaves of absence, and sometimes it's because of suspensions. He has publicly been posturing for a mega fight inside of the UFC. It could be a part of that. To your earlier point, there is a bit of a dip in stars. They were running and they were building guys up, guys like Izzy Adesanya, but then they kind of fall off. We saw it recently. Sean O'Malley was thought to be a star. He kind of falls off. Right now, Topuria, the guys aren't really. Pereira is probably the biggest star of that bunch in terms of title holders right now. They're trying to build guys up. Successfully, I think, with Paddy the Batty. That's someone you should keep your eye on.
No, they did it successfully, but it was bogus, and they do have a problem. I don't want to bury
It's not
this.
being bogus with Paddy the Batty. Like, I'm done doing that narrative. He's proved his bona fides, and he's proved to be legit, and now I think he's certainly worthy of it. But I get, like, the skepticism. I was there, too, with the hype machine around him. But this happens to the UFC. They have a lot of stars leave or retire or fall off, and they have to build back up. And I think what's happening right now is one of those build back up phases.
Isn't it skeptical when any fighter or boxer who's aging says he's retiring?
Yes, but he's 37. This is a fight for him to avoid. The last 7 months would have been the time to sort of cash in on this. And when it comes to negotiating with Dana White, I expect the labor to perpetually be screwed. It's the business model.
The Aspinall fight is one of those fights that could help
everybody wants it.
Breathe life into UFC.
But I also don't blame him for avoiding it. And at 37, that's not a weight class that I want to see him at. Like he's the best light light heavyweight I've ever seen. I don't need to see him challenged as a heavyweight. He chose the right path with two guys that he knew he could beat the last 2 fights.
He also had a pretty badass send-off, if that's the last time that we saw him, and he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, well within his rights.
Stipe was retired when he beat him. He doesn't want to fight the type of I wouldn't want, if I were him at 37, I wouldn't want to fight the top heavyweight either.
That's fair. He's at an age where I think his legacy is pretty well cemented, and because it's already way complicated anyways. And I think everyone would concede, even if he loses to Aspinall, that that's the greatest fighter they've ever seen at the height of his game. And he's still a what-if cautionary tale, which is wild.
Ariel Hawani says, I'm tired of beating around the bush. I don't want to hear the GOAT talk when it comes to John. I'm sorry, you cannot be the GOAT if you have multiple PED infractions on the record. You cannot be the GOAT if you didn't want to do what others did for you. Time-honored tradition, you fight the top contenders. Not only was Tom Aspinall the top contender, he was the interim champion for almost 2 years.
Is that unfair?
No, that's more than fair.
No, it is fair, but it is also, to me, a little bit difficult to do legacy talk on someone that I'm saying to you is a pure talent. What I'm watching, really loving the fighting game, is as skillful and artful a magician as I've ever seen do it, marred by an assortment of drug infractions and recklessness, and now at the end, punctuation that feels like cowardice when this man was afraid of no one. This man had legit. You can say he's not the GOAT if you want, but this was a man everyone feared fighting. No one knew how to beat this human being. The only way he could be beaten was his own demons with his recklessness away where the drugs would get a hold of him.
Whose balls are juiced?
We were talking about signature moves in athletics and who has a move that sticks in your mind. John Jones' spinning back elbow, just the most ferocious weapon in the history of combat sports.
Regardless, Tony's going to be in Vegas this weekend doing the UFC fight because he has made that into a hustle around. He really loves what he's doing.
Really
on
popular.
Saturdays.
It does well too, and it's a fun watch. You learn a lot. It's not your traditional oohs and ahs of a watch along. You're getting really good analysis as well.
Remember Dana White told us that UFC would be bigger than the NFL?
Well, he said it would be the biggest sport in the world, and internationally, it's a giant. Look, I know everyone listening to this knows what my problems are politically and otherwise with the UFC. Dana White is a bully. It's been a bummer to see him rise to power on a carnival barker crusade where he's got a monopoly, and what gets chewed up is the athlete because it's no unions, and you got champions like living in the car and stuff. I don't think I'm that's probably an oversell, and I shouldn't say it that way if I don't have it on me, but there are just details on how it is even these champions have to work because the pay's not good enough. This is a brutal way to make a living, Stugotz. We lose sight of it, right? When you get all the pay-per-view and what you're throwing into the machine, more fights than ever, is a diluted product, and it's all meat. It's go fight each other and injure each other. You're fighting for money. It's caged, barbaric spectacle, and I've always loved the bravery and people willing to do that in front of others when it's just them, no teammates, and you're fighting your fear in front of people. It's gladiator.
Can I throw a theory at you? When is the UFC media rights deal up? Expires at the end of the year. This is a pretty good leverage point for John Jones because how does Dana want to impress a new broadcast partner with a brand new deal? I'm sure every negotiation that he's having with a potential broadcast partner is, can we get the Aspinall-John Jones fight? If you're John Jones, now's a perfect time to pull this move and say, I'm done forever because it maximizes your own leverage as UFC is negotiating, possibly invoking your own name in these broadcast rights
deals. Do you know
deals.
how crazy it has to make the fighters in UFC to see McGregor make $100 million over there, to see Ngannou make more than he ever made in his fighting career in UFC? Boxing spectacle, go get the pay-per-view money. It's been jarring to see the business jostled like that on both fronts. Do you guys, I know a lot of people think of me also as whenever I say anything anti-ESPN, they're just assuming it comes from a source of bitterness. But when it comes to the ESPN Plus app and the complaints MMA fans have of, You're making me sign up for a Windows 98 app, and then I'm just signing up for the right. I don't want ESPN Plus. I'm just signing up for the right to then pay-per-view what is a now diluted product that they blame ESPN for. Is that a fair criticism? I'm not on ESPN Plus, so I don't know how advanced it is or it isn't.
You get plenty of free cards that come with just your ESPN Plus membership, and that also gives you all the other sports that are on ESPN Plus, well within their rights to charge a premium for a premium live event like a big-time UFC card. It has been rumored that there's not going to be one standalone home, that they're going to try to divvy up the television rights. TKO kind of learning a little bit from their WWE side of the business. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of promises he's making. What is their flagship home? What kind of cards will go on other broadcasters? Will those other broadcasters feel like they're second banana when it comes to these conversations? It's combat sports. You can't really guarantee. The only thing that you can guarantee is bigger names. And right now, they've got a name problem.
Can you guys please find for me, and also it doesn't help when all the guys from Russia want to take it to the ground and pound you, and it's not an entertaining
style of fights haven't been
not
great.
An entertaining style.
But that's why Patty the Batty, you got to kind of root for him. At first, I was like, this is all phony. They're just feeding him cheap guys to try to get him over and do this Conor McGregor redux. No, he shut me up promptly in the last two fights.
I feel like we have lost Billy and Chris. Chris is yawning actively. The old-timey baseball player has
Don't
no
leave
interest.
me and Greg out.
No, Stugotz wasn't interested in this either. I will say, if you're looking to us for information in sports, since Stugotz said the Mets were the best team in baseball, they've lost 9 of 10.
That's unfortunate.
And yesterday on the show, we gave you one sure bet. We gave you Trevor Rogers of the Orioles is going to give up some runs, and he threw 8 shutout innings, allowed 3 hits.
Best start as an Oriole.
Shut out the potent Rangers. Like, truly terrible advice from
Best
our
start
show.
of his career, he just shouted.
I said of Trevor Rogers, my only analysis of Trevor Rogers is yes. When you throw from the left side, you can be big like that, throw hard, and have a ERA of 5 for the rest of your life in the big leagues. 8 innings of shutout ball from a dominant Trevor Rogers over the Rangers.
Lowering his season ERA to 1.3 something.
But last year, that ERA, woof.
That is 3 starts. Incidentally, if you're looking for your baseball information here or on a broadcast tomorrow night on YouTube with Tim Kirkship from 6 to 10 p.m., said last year the Orioles would be good for a decade. I also had the analysis of the Orioles are going to be so good the Yankees will be closer to the bottom of the division than the top. The Orioles now have no pitching except for Trevor Rogers.
No team in sports is good for a decade. Like every year, someone wins a championship, and you're like, you know what? This team, they're the favorites to win next year. Next year, they finished like 8th seed.
I just thought farm system and arms, they had so many young people.
Warriors
so many
kinda
young
did it.
people.
There's some teams that have
Warriors
done
kind
it.
of pulled it off.
Lakers, Celtics, 80s.
I think locally you have a team that's built for it, certainly.
Right.
The Heat kind of did it.
Patriots did it.
Let's go to Greg Cote. Greg Cote Day.
Orioles in
was
last
it
place.
Fort Myers? Was it where minor league baseball?
Yes, Fort
Here is
Myers.
Greg Cote after 70 years living in South Florida, still having trouble with the Latin names.
Stepping to the plate, number 13, Yeltsin and Encarnacion.
I just misread it.
That's a tough one.
It happens, yeah.
Just like Legler. It's
Yeah.
tricky.
Probably a typo.
I also have a sad news station promoting Greg Cote night.
Greg Cote night. Okay. Saturday, it's Bark in the Park night at the Fort Myers Miracle game. The Miracle take on the Lakeland Flying Tigers at 6 o'clock. Ooh, that oatmeal.
It's the oatmeal.
The dog-friendly event includes doggy pools, adoptable dogs as well, even treat bags for your own puppies. It's also Buddy the Elf night, so if you dress as Buddy the Elf, you get a special ticket offer. There's a Santa hat giveaway, a car giveaway, and it's Greg Cote night. Greg Cote night. Okay.
That is the greatest promotion I've ever heard.
Buddy the Elf.
That is
For
so
oatmeal.
much better than Tim Legler is pretty interesting.
Buried the lead.
That is how you sell an upcoming event. I'm so sad that I missed everything that was going on.
Saturday, it's Bark in the Park night at the Fort Myers Miracle game.
Ridiculous.
The Miracle take on the Lakeland Flying Tigers at 6 o'clock. Ooh, that oatmeal.
It's the oatmeal.
The dog-friendly event includes doggy pools, adoptable dogs as well, even treat bags for your own puppies. It's also Buddy the Elf night, so if you dress as Buddy the Elf, you get a special ticket offer. There's a Santa hat giveaway, a
Buddy
car
the Elf?
giveaway, and it's Greg Cote night.
Who's Greg Cote?
Greg
What
Cote
an
night.
amateur.
Okay.
You should retire that guy.
Greg, can you just lay out for a second so we can get the full comedy of the local broadcast instead of just barreling in chest first?
I mean, we'd already played it 3 times.
You don't know who Buddy the Elf is?
From Elf, the movie with Will Ferrell.
No.
It came out
Buddy
after
the
Swing
Elf.
Vote.
What's your favorite color?
All right.
That's
Did
him.
you just
Okay.
criticize that guy's broadcasting?
Yes.
As you should.
Slate number 13, Yeltsin and Carnacion.
I got it right eventually.
You did, yeah.
This broadcast had 4 things to sell in front of Greg Cote night,
Which is ridiculous. What an insult.
You were not the main event here. They can't even get your name right. If I were writing this as comedy, okay, if you gave me this as fiction, I'd have indigestion interrupted by oatmeal in the middle of my broadcast. Indigestion. And then I would also have the comedically great reaction of the broadcasters trying to do chumminess while not knowing the name of the headliner.
An adopted dog?
After Buddy the Elf and an assortment of adopted dogs.
Saturday, it's Bark in the Park night at the Fort Myers Miracle game. The Miracle take on the Lakeland Flying Tigers at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Ooh, that oatmeal.
Let's see oatmeal.
The dog-friendly event includes doggy pools, adoptable dogs as well, even treat bags for your own puppies. It's also Buddy the Elf night, so if you dress as Buddy the Elf, you get a special ticket offer. There's a Santa hat giveaway, a car giveaway, and it's Greg Cote night. Greg Cote night.
Amateur.
Off in the distance.
The
He
best
should be
part of
fired.
that I forgot about,
Did it again.
in that clip, a throwaway line is also a car giveaway. Somebody in our suite, one of our friends, the guy he
Yeah.
brought, won the car.
That's right.
And we felt so uncomfortable because we were the special, he gave away the car. The guy rejected the car.
It was a used car.
I know, but it's still worth thousands of dollars.
Tell stories
What?
horribly. Start from the beginning. What happened? There's a
$900
car
car.
given
There
away.
was a
Your
car
friend
giveaway.
won. It was a used car.
There was a car
What
giveaway.
kind of car was
Let's
it? Who
hear
did
him
he
out.
give
Hold
it
on.
to?
Hold
First of
on.
all, I don't remember it being a used car. It might be. I'm not saying you're wrong about that. I don't remember that detail. It was just a car giveaway that in the 7th inning, anyone who had
How
a
do you
ticket,
not remember that detail? It's an important detail.
and they announced the name, and the people on making the announcement were in our suite. I think my dad made the announcement. My dad picked the winning thing. So when the winner comes from the suite, that the person, we all were just
suspicious.
this is. So the guy was
The
literally
fix is
like,
in, right.
the guy was like,
Right.
I'm good. I don't need the car.
I don't need the used car.
Because it was a $700 clunker.
No, it was not.
All right,
It was
now
like a
we're
nice
getting
truck.
details. Now we're getting
Your friend just gave away a truck?
Yes, a friend of a friend.
$700 clunker is what your dad. There's some details missing. Who's Shams? Who's Barry Jackson? Whose information is right? Because it doesn't sound like your information is right.
100% right. We rejected a car. The only
Okay.
dispute here is whether the car was used
This
or
is
not.
what I want. I want you to play it again. I want everyone to lay out because Cody
you get
did it
Santa
again.
hats at least?
Thank you for not laying out. Just immediately ignores what I'm saying. Doesn't hear anyone except his own voice in his head. Can you play for me again, Greg Cote, toward the end of this? I need you guys to listen to how the anchors get out of this.
Saturday, it's Bark in the Park night at the Fort Myers Miracle game. The Miracle take on the Lakeland Flying Tigers at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Ooh, that oatmeal.
Let's see oatmeal.
The dog-friendly event includes doggy pools, adoptable dogs as well, even treat bags for your own puppies. It's also Buddy the Elf night, so if you dress as Buddy the Elf, you get a special ticket offer. There's a Santa hat giveaway, a car giveaway, and it's Greg Cote night. Greg Cote night. Okay.
That okay? 9 things he advertised. 9. It's one of my favorite things John Oliver does is just local newscasts. We're going to miss them when they're gone. Going to miss them.
You think they're going? I don't think so. I actually think there's more of a demand for hyper-local stuff, given how everything is presented.
Mm-hmm.
It was a used car.
See? Of course it
A
was.
$700 clunker,
couldn't have been
you called it.
Well-
700. The shell of a car.
Where'd you get that from,
That
by the
doesn't
way?
have an
It was a
engine.
used car, courtesy of Dixie Buick GMC.
There you go.
Lil Abner.
Yeah.
1934 is what David Samson brought to the table today. Greg Cote continues to look like someone from 1919. Billy, would you agree with this, that it's, I'm looking at Prohibition more than Great Depression? I feel like he should be shoeless. He would normally be shoeless. He's not shoeless only because he has talons for feet. They're disgusting. They are the feet of Nosferatu.
Yes. See, Shoeless Joe was eligible also. Like, that was kind of one of the, it flew under the radar when
Yes.
Pete Rose
Yeah.
was made eligible. Shoeless Joe can get back in now too.
Yep.
And I guess the ruling is a lifetime ban ends when your life ends. And now all dead people that committed malfeasances can be eligible.
Put
right?
it on the poll. Does a lifetime ban end when your life does? I feel like that's I feel like that you've stumbled upon something.
I had never
there.
considered it,
Yes.
honestly. I saw the phrasing and I was
Why
like,
would
Pete
you?
Rose.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Why
still
would you?
kinda like a
But as
gray
soon as you
area.
die, sure.
Yeah, I
never mind
understand.
about our
You're in.
moralities. We'll
Yeah.
clean you right up.
I was like, I guess it's, punishment served
All
now.
right. I mean, you can't get any joy from this. You're dead, and your spirit is banned.
If you think that your family would get a lot of joy from seeing you go to the Hall of Fame and they're getting up there in age,
Why are
it's
you
like
talking
your
like that?
parents? Well, because I'm asking a kind of dark question.
Right.
Like
Do you just
chalk
sort of
nails aboard or something.
Let's spin
Take a
the
dive
wheel.
early,
Let's
or-
spin the
Jackson's
wheel.
happy for
Everybody
Joe.
just-
Right.
I don't know what
shut
he was
you up
doing.
by doing
I
this
don't
thing.
know what he
Like,
was doing.
you didn't even.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Spin something.
It's
All right,
off the
all right,
I'm
ground.
hold
sorry.
on, hold
I was
on.
struggling to follow what you were doing. I'm kind of
was-
happy everyone just started
Started
talking.
a sentence.
Wild.
Jeremy
The
doing?
Amazing.
sound goes
I've
off.
never
of
seen
this
anything
guy.
like it.
It's what it sounded like to me.
What was
Pretty amazing.
Aboard
Yeah,
or
I know.
something.
All right.
I
Enjoy
feel-
the rest of the show.
I feel bad. This is not.
I'm sorry,
I
man.
think
Like
this is
chalk
bullying,
nails
but
This feels
aboard
like
or something.
you
like
deserve
yeah.
it if we're going to be
I've
honest.
never
Yeah.
seen that before, where some dude is talking, doing
Right.
a thing, and everyone else just like moves on with their lives and has their other
Well, Mike,
conversations.
did we miss it? Like, should he try it again?
Honestly, I don't remember what he said. It was so
I
boring.
legitimately thought he was whispering in just my ear, and I had
too.
made the
I was
mistake
like, what does he
of
do? Is
not.
this a bit?
But then he just kept talking.
Why am I so
And I thought,
bored?
and I was confused by my own show. He's talking. I'm like, is he talking to just me? Why is he talking that way? But then what swept over me, and Greg, forgive me, because you and Stugotz wanted the blessed relief of David Samson because of something that had happened in here right before David Samson, which was, and I'm now airing private grievances,
Oh,
but
boy.
Stugotz, I'm only doing this in the context of what just happened, okay? Which is all of us are staring at Jeremy wondering what the hell he's doing with the show, and he's just happily with the steering wheel, and we don't know why he's talking that way.
I'll just slow it down a little.
And whisper to you and confuse the host who's not sure whether you're just giving him gentle guidance or speaking on air to others.
Yeah, it sounded like an ad read for a sleep-inducing medication.
I was
was
going to ask if
confused.
people would kill themselves to get their
I know.
family some joy of them getting into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So I was trying not to say it so brash.
That's the energy
But
we're
do you
looking
think
for.
some people would kill themselves to give their
I
family
really
some
don't
joy?
think we should
Like
do
chalk
this.
nails aboard or something.
So
Are you asking if Pete Rose would have killed himself if it meant getting into the Hall of Fame
Yes.
sooner?
That's exactly what I'm asking.
That's where you were headed?
Yes! Let's get there.
But you didn't let me get there.
Let's just get
The
there.
would you attend their funeral
really
show?
dark.
It's
That's
like,
really
oh, too morbid.
Jeremy.
That's-
Jeez.
Woo.
Why'd you take it there?
You shouldn't have said
Weird.
that.
My
Right.
gosh. This is a morning show on the DraftKings Network, friend.
before David Samson came on, Greg Cote said that he had Pat Riley opinions that he wanted to give. He also said this on air, and he wasn't given the room to give them.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of voices in here.
Right.
You know, that's no one's fault but yours, Dan. I mean, you're the one who has a lot of people in here talking, and it's very tough sometimes to get a word in.
Right.
But especially on the Heat.
Well, you asked him a direct question and someone else answered it. That's where he got upset. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
There
That
is
happens a lot.
There's a backlash against the Heat because of the way this show talks about.
That's right,
the
Jeremy.
Heat.
Out.
All right, he's been
Just
bullied.
get out.
All right, here's the wheel is.
I can
very,
also leave.
It's a good question.
No, the wheel is very busy today, and I want to see. I'm going to need your help with the eyesight on seeing this because these are the things on the wheel. Are you ready? The resignation of the mustachioed strength wonder for the University of Miami football team, Aaron Feld, the greatest mustache in all of college football. He has resigned from the University of Miami.
Scandalous.
Will Smith's music is on the wheel. The Rock going for an Oscar is on the wheel. A Father's Day fit for a king is on the wheel. Side view mirrors is on the wheel. The Panthers partying crazy throughout South Florida is on the wheel. Pablo's story is being sent by his publicists on the secret arbitration ruling of the NFL Players Association.
The UCF Knights' new football uniforms is also on the wheel. That'd be terrible if it came up.
Championship buses are on the wheel.
Big wheel.
And the Boost Mobile
Boldest Take.
Boldest Take hotline is on the wheel. Let's spin the wheel and see where it lands here. That's a lot of stuff here. And also, Portland's top 5 defense since the All-Star break and my greatest professional regret from yesterday.
Wait a second.
All right, where'd it land?
Can you see where it landed, Greg?
Unfortunately, it's the central uniforms.
Well said.
UCF. Yeah. UCF. Sorry. You're going to have to
Let's spin that again.
Central uniforms.
Let's spin that again.
It's essentially a spin again.
Greg, leave. I gave you 11 options.
But it's not him. It's what the wheel says.
The wheel says what the wheel says.
The wheel's law.
Didn't even say it out.
Blame the wheel.
The central
That wasn't on the wheel. It was clearly not on the wheel.
It was hard to see.
Get out of
The
here.
wheel said it.
The glasses are fogged up.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Major penalty, 5 minutes, swooning comedy.
5 minutes.
I object to this.
Friend or coworker.
It's time to talk.
Fuck.
Comes up on the wheel.
He's got to go sit with Jeremy.
He can tell you all about it.
Would you rather, if it was Pete Rose, would you rather sit with Jeremy to get in the Hall of Fame or kill yourself to get in the Hall
Was
of Fame?
that whole thing just Jeremy saying, do we have to put a warning on this episode?
That's
now?
going to take a while for me to get over.
It was
what
weird.
Jeremy did.
That
was
was
weird.
so bad.
Listen, but this is, I can say it now that Cody and Jeremy are both gone. Okay, this was Cody's complaint in the privacy of that first hour heat segment.
You're
I think
going to do this?
they can all hear us.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm aware, Chris. You know what? Get out of here.
Yeah, send them away.
You know,
Major penalty, 5 minutes, swooning comedy.
Kevin Stenland out here.
Just be careful, Dan.
why be careful?
I care about you.
All right, well, you helped me walk. Here, you were here, and both Greg and David were grateful. I'm sorry, Greg and Stugotz were grateful that David Samson appeared because they were afraid that I was going to reveal what Stugotz and Cody were saying. And it is something that they were saying that I'm sure the audience has said about any number of us, including me most of all.
Right. I mean, you put me in a spot here. Listen, it was really directed.
You don't want to do it? You don't want to do it?
I'd prefer not to do it, but I'll do it because I know you need it. And that's what I'm supposed to do. So
during Heat Talk, Greg Cote was trying to talk. It couldn't talk and didn't like that he couldn't talk.
Well, he didn't like that you asked him a direct question, a respected columnist in Miami who has opinions about the Heat, wanted to talk about the Heat. And when you asked him that direct question, Mike answered it.
He said, it's hard to get in here. And what he said after that was because Mike's talking and then Jeremy is talking and talking. And he hit him with a talking and talking.
Just Jeremy, not you, Mike.
Mike was talking.
Right.
And Jeremy was talking and talking. And
right.
I'm somebody who talks and talks and talks. So I'm no one to make fun of how not allowing other people in. But there's Greg Cote, old-timey baseball player, being soothed by his son, his loving son, because he's been treated like a senile old man by White Hat during the playoffs when he's the only one who got anything right. He dresses up like a clown for us, even though he's much smarter on Kornheiser's show, and we disgrace his reputation and his legacy by turning him into a professional clown who can't get his shots off during the show because the producers are full of themselves. There, I said it. It's been said.
Yep. And said.
Where is Jeremy? He's supposed to be in the penalty box.
I feel like we bullied him, and I don't feel like what we just did to Jeremy is right.
Yeah.
I think that felt unfair. Jeremy hasn't had a lot.
That question was unfair.
But I don't understand why he was talking to me in a way that totally disoriented me. I spent 10 full seconds wondering if he was talking to just me. And then I heard no one else talking because I thought he was just in my ear because of the way he was talking.
When you're talking suicide, though, Dan, that's kind of the way
That's
you have
not
to
the way
talk.
you do it. You didn't have to bring up suicide. None of it was necessary. None of it was necessary. We were having plenty of fun around, is a lifetime ban something that ends as soon as your lifetime does? Because it's a great question that I don't feel like any of us had really considered until Pete Rose died. And then we're like, wait, they're just going to let him in? Well, his life is over. I don't think, had any of us considered it before then in any real terms? Like Pete Rose himself said he didn't want to go in after his death, and all of us were like, what's the point of putting him in after his death? But none of us had considered the length of a lifetime ban. just ending the moment his life did.
Right. Greg, so you feel like Pat Riley still has it, but he just decided to pass on Kevin Durant for whatever reason, because that's not a guy that's going to win this team an NBA championship.
I'll take this one. I think Pat Riley's overthinking this flatly. And I think he's paying
I get
for
what
this.
you guys are doing.
Is that what we're doing?
Okay. All right. I get it. Don't worry about it.
Spin the wheel again. I didn't see it correctly that time. And I don't know.
You don't want me to read the answer, then don't ask me.
What does it say up there? What does it say?
UCF uniforms again. I can't help that that happens with wheels sometimes.
Right.
It comes up the
Lands
same.
in the same thing, right? All the
can't
time.
help it.
It's a wheel.
It's the perfect spin. All over.
Your lucky day.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. What do the damn uniforms
The drop
look like?
shadow accents are incredible.
Oh my god.
They,
Those are sharp.
they bring it every time.
They look
UCF.
the same.
No. The drop shadow is totally different.
You're going to have to leave the room again.
Those are very sharp. Okay, here we go. All right, good night, everyone.
It's morning.
Good UCF night, everyone. Hang on.
Good UCF night,
That was a
everyone.
good
He
one.
was going to
I
walk
like that.
outside.
I like that. With his headsets on. Pull the whole table.
Just
Trying
leave.
to push that
He
door.
doesn't know how to open the door. Listen, let me explain to you what we did, Dim. And Stugotz, after a lifetime doing this show with him, it feels like, knows what happened here. He wanted to talk in the first hour. He dressed up in the old-timey uniform. We pubbed his podcast. He checked out right after that.
Yeah.
Checked out for the day. You guys didn't let him talk? He's done playing. He's taking his ball and going home. He wore our happy uniform. He wore the costume for us. He got his glory in the first hour, but didn't get his shots off, and now he's pissed. And he blames you. A lifetime of rascals. These children who don't respect him for not giving him the room to talk, and he doesn't think. There's another thing
I think
here.
he blamed you.
But I wasn't the one who kept him from talking in the first hour. I kept throwing it to him,
Right.
and then it would get taken, and then Jeremy wanted his Heat opinions heard. But to be fair, Jeremy's Heat opinions are informed by being around the team. But yeah,
Take forever to say, though.
see, that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the
I wonder
thing.
how much of it is,
trying to
team
be-
issued statement.
Well thought out.
Yeah.
So
The-
I'm putting space
Right.
in
Yeah.
between my sentences.
The informed opinion is overrated. I like the uninformed opinion.
Yeah,
I do.
That's where you
Yeah.
get the truth
Yeah.
from, is the uninformed.
God bless football and stupidity.
Uninformed,
They're
yes.
taking a lane no one else is taking in this regard. Stugotz is he's banking many riches on the idea that this is a lane no one else is occupying. God bless football has some education in it, but the good stuff is the lack of education. The general
what I'm talking about.
stumbling around with the Gronkowskis
Yes.
and Joba Chamberlain.
Jabba.
Well, he's been, he kind of got tired of us not paying him, so
yeah.
he disappeared a while
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. He's appearing somewhere else.
Wait a minute. What happened? He created a media career from you guys? You guys built the coaching tree of God bless football, got Jabba Chamberlain a job somewhere else?
Well, no, I mean, he's like a king in Nebraska. He lives in Nebraska.
Yep.
That's where he, went to school, and he's doing some podcasts there. He's, doing his thing.
Doing some stuff
Job
with
him.
baseball.
Check in with him every once in a while.
I'm sorry. I thought he
His
was still
dad
with
passed
you guys.
away recently. Thoughts and prayers.
It's a sore subject.
How many
You got us Eli
Gronkowskis?
Manning.
How many
That's true.
Gronkowskis are there on God bless football?
It's usually a different one every season. Yeah, because
It was Chris the first season, Gordy the last couple of seasons.
yeah, they learn that they don't really want to deal with us, so then we just keep moving down the chain of the Gronks.
Hopefully we'll get to Rob.
Well, I would say probably less likely.
Greg Cote, I want to get your thoughts here on his podcast, very popular podcast. Zach Lowe says the Heat had a look in the mirror moment by not going all in on KD. Quote, Pat Riley wants to go for it, and Heat could have beat Houston's offer. Yeah, Hero, Durant, Bam, and some backup starter guys is not going to be good enough.
Well,
I'll take this one. If Pat Riley's aim is to keep doing what he's been doing over the last few seasons, which is be frustrated that they're not good enough and think that the development of these players just isn't up to snuff, then he's doing himself and his legacy a great disservice. I mean, why? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again,
You're right.
expecting different
Cody,
results.
you're laughing, but
point.
Stugotz just whispered in my ear, much like Jeremy did earlier, except it wasn't in my ear. And he said Greg was, again, not ready for your question in any way and was not listening.
That's what happened the first time, Greg. It happens a lot. we have to spring into action.
Okay, all right, that's it. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should be thanking Mike for interrupting.
And by the
you.
way,
I am.
you're no Ryan
Save you.
Seacrest, pal.
Whoa.
Thank you for that, Ryan Seacrest. What's that got to do with anything?
Right.
Ryan Seacrest.
You're tired of that guy anyway, right?
Yes.
Overrated.
Yeah. Right. Look overrated.
Like
He's
owning
just
it.
petering out. Your father is petering out at the end of a workday, at the end of many hockey months. Oh, did you see? He just went to his signature line board. McDavid, overrated. He just burped it out.
Well, Stugotz said overrated. He was feeding me the line.
Well, I mean, Seacrest is. I
Yeah,
mean,
of
enough
course.
Spin the
Seacrest.
wheel
He's
again,
everywhere.
please. Spin the wheel again, please. Again, Aaron Feld, the strength coach, Will Smith music, Portland top 5 defense since the All-Star game, The Rock winning an Oscar, trying to Father's Day for a King, Panthers championship celebration, championship buses, Pablo's Story, or Boost Mobile.
Father's Day for a King.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Does that fit your?
It's
your
what it landed
preference?
on. I mean,
I know, but
right.
it landed on UFC football the last 2 times. They sent me out of here.
Right.
Man,
UFC football.
No, he's right.
It wasn't.
You see, yeah.
Good
What did I
UFC.
say?
At UFC.
UFC.
Say, yeah,
It was last
jumble.
hour.
I'm jumbling the letters. What can I tell
It
you?
happens.
Yeah. Thank you.
Regular.
But the perfect Father's Day gift. I mean, what does that
Not
mean?
the first. It's not.
No, I had a.
Father's Day for a
Hey,
King.
hey, we,
I
all
had
know,
a,
we all know what that is.
I know that you and Chris have gone back and forth on whose Father's Day is it.
Yeah.
And that's actually been a controversy in my household, too. My dad has to come to grips with the fact that Father's Day used to be your day, not your day anymore. It's my day. We'll circle back to you. He's had a very difficult time for that. And I realize what I want on Father's Day is peace and quiet. I know it's become a cliche, but I physically kick my family out of my house, and I spend the day all to myself, 20 milligrams in left turns basically the entire day. In fact, one time I was inside the house, and I walked outside to pee, and I've shorted myself. I did that twice.
Wow.
I liked how it felt because it was my day. I'm king.
Love
Now-
a backyard pee.
Now, one of the I did that.
Oh, no.
I was in the house.
You're not really a
Front yard
homeowner until you pee in your backyard.
Yeah.
You're right.
Front yard peel.
I was inspecting the backyard the first time,
Front yard pee will get you in trouble.
It will, yeah.
securing the perimeter.
Arrested, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna
yeah.
see what this is like. It's my day. Let's see what this is like. Peed outside.
Nice.
Later on in the day, after a full bottle of wine, decided to do it again. Liked it.
Excellent.
So it was a day of excess, and as part of the 20 milligrams and left turns experiences, I kind of gorge on food. That's my treat yourself day. My night ended with me not feeling my best, just tired, but I was so full. I had never been this full in my life. And I got up from the couch to say, good night, I'm going to bed. I coughed, and out came like a quarter of the Peruvian that I ate. Just I coughed, and it wasn't because I was high or drunk or anything like that, even though I admitted to those things. I was fine. It was because I gorged myself on Peruvian
you were
food.
disgusting.
And I coughed, and I was totally fine, but out from my mouth came a whole bunch of ají amarillo. No, just like on the front of my shirt. I'm like, that's going to be a wrap for me. I'm going to bed. Best Father's Day I've ever had.
Nice.
Father's Day for a King. Put it on the poll, please. Are you a real homeowner if you haven't peed in your backyard? And also put on the poll, will the front yard pee get you in trouble?
When did that happen, by the way? We used to be a proper country where you can just pee in the front yard and no one would care. That was like a sign of, success. You just pee in your front yard.
It's like marking your territory.
Yeah,
like a
neighbors
dog.
would go by. Hey, Bill, how's it going? You wave at them as they go. You're peeing.
Hey,
Bill
Frank.
pees down the street. Exactly right. Now all of a sudden,
Yeah, suddenly you can't do it.
yeah, you're too close to a
hell's
school. You have to
going on?
introduce yourself to all your neighbors.
Ridiculous.
I feel like Frank Torrey used to always pee in his front yard.
Did Frank?
No, God rest his soul. I'm not going to
Frank
besmirch him
left?
like that.
He was a drummer. He taught me how to drum.
Yeah, he did.
It apparently has never been broadly legal.
That can't be
You
so.
shouldn't be peeing in your front yard.
It's your yard.
You shouldn't.
Yeah,
you shouldn't
right,
be peeing near a school.
Don't pee on the sidewalk.
Why can my neighbor's dog pee in my front yard, but I can't pee in my front yard when I pay for that yard?
Became expressly legal in New York City in the 1970s, and they started really enforcing this in the 1990s, and it was banned in LA in the 1990s as well.
What if my back is to the street, though?
That's a good question.
That's
There
fair.
wasn't a single moment in this country, though, where peeing in your front yard ever became illegal, to answer your question.
No, it must be illegal. It can't be legal. You can't pee in your front yard. I think that's illegal. You
If I
can't.
have a wall up, though,
No, the problem is being visible to the public. You can pee in your front yard.
That's what I'm talking
It's
about.
indecent exposure.
Yes,
You can't, but your
right.
backyard feels less indecent. Feels like you're trying to be decent.
If you have a chain link fence, kind of.
Well,
You're
Greg,
taking a risk.
Greg Cote has a substantive backyard. Greg Cote has shoes buried in that backyard,
Right.
shoes that he wore for 20 years, and
Deck and deckle.
a couple of cats.
But wait a minute. If I'm inside my home in the bathroom and I'm peeing with the window open,
You're good.
and you could see completely in, and you
You're
can
good.
still see
You're
it.
good.
You're
That's
good. You're
fine?
inside, right?
You're open for business. But
They're
you're
the
good.
creepy ones for looking at you.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah,
Right.
They should be arrested.
Yes.
Yeah, invasion of privacy. What if I'm peeing in my backyard and a drone is flying overhead and I
You're
wave
good.
at it?
I'm with
You're
you.
good.
Drones. I
What
feel
are you
like have
waving with?
ruined skinny dipping.
My
you know?
other hand. Sometimes I pee hands free. Don't you?
Really?
Oh,
In your
right?
yard or the bathroom?
Yeah.
Both.
That's an outdoor activity, or in the shower.
you know,
That's
Not in
a
the
shower
bathroom.
activity.
I'm a veteran peer.
Not in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Spin the
That's
wheel
gotta be
again,
outside.
please.
You have
Spin
to have
the
no
wheel. Go ahead and
control.
spin the wheel
Real
again.
quick,
No,
have you and
wait.
Chris come to a solution to your Father's Day conundrum?
I still
Still
think
his.
it's still mine, but you know.
In my family,
We can
Father's Day
share
is
it.
for my wife.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
You just figured it out.
She
huh?
just kind of sets the plans, and we all do that.
Oh, I'm
and
going to
that's-
4 different houses today. Fun.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. In your family, is Father's Day for your wife?
Of course it is.
What did it land on there, Cody? What did it land on?
Oh, the guy from with the weird mustache.
Aaron Feld?
Feld.
Yeah.
Aaron Feld.
That's what it
okay.
says?
That's
And
what it
why
said.
did he disappear all of a sudden?
Okay, let's look at the strength coach for the University of Miami. He looks unlike any other strength coach that any of us have ever seen. The mustache is glorious. The hair is glorious. The biceps are glorious. He is no longer the strength coach at the University of Miami. Mike, as a booster, journalist, and someone who owns a company that traffics in University of Miami football information, can you give us any information as to why this resplendent, luscious human being is no longer on campus?
He put out a statement on his social media channels saying that it was time for a change and that he wanted to be with his family more. He cited his family multiple times in that, and it got a lot of attention because Aaron Feld is probably the most publicly recognizable strength and conditioning coach in the nation, but it already been replaced, and I don't think he's landed anywhere just yet. It seems like he's taking some time off.
The Codys are famously bad at hygiene. You do not touch yourself or hold yourself while peeing because you don't want to wash your hands, right?
Oh no, just mostly just for the ritual of it. You know, the challenge.
Flaunt the skill.
Yeah, you want to
challenge.
Yeah, target practice.
the challenge
Right.
of being accurate without the manipulation of.
Okay.
I wish
the
you could
peer, of the
gamify
peeing
going to
apparatus.
the restroom. You know what I mean? Like,
Nothing left.
you know what? I wanna do, guys. Business idea here, Jeremy voice. What if we found a way to get like a thing that you put on the toilet? You know how they have like the lights and
Jeremy
stuff
leave?
like that? I don't know. He just kind of does whatever he wants.
Who's the Conor McDavid of peeing?
Wait, is everybody's
What's that
penis,
mean?
does it go straight? Or are you a little
Why
bit
is
like
Jeremy
John
outside?
Fetterman?
Did we bully him into
It's a good
being
question,
outside?
Mike.
He's sitting
left of
next to
center.
he's sitting next to Greg Cody's giant treasure chest of bacon over there.
He said I have an idea for a song. That's where he went.
That's why I'm
Oh,
saying
boy.
it's an outside thing, Mike. Like you have to,
Yeah, you
to
can go
aim
anywhere.
in your toilet,
Yeah.
right? In your
You have to
bathroom.
account for the wind
Right.
sometimes.
Whoa.
Cody, what is that treasure chest of bacon? How I've never seen bacon in a contraption that large. Is that an igloo of bacon? What is that?
On an upcoming episode of the Greg Cote Show podcast, we have on the Bacon King, and the Bacon King wanted to send me some of his bacon preparatory.
Are you talking about Uncle Dick?
Well,
Bacon King?
Uncle Dick will be in on that as well because he's the bacon prince. But this is the Bacon King, not inside that container. But
Can you show it to us? Can you go out there and open it? Can we do some journalism and find out just how much bacon you got? Promote the Greg Cote Show with Greg Cote podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I have not personally opened it yet. I don't know what's in there.
Or is it the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote?
No, the Greg Cote Show with Greg
It's a
Cote.
fine. Yeah.
Chris has
It's
gone
heavy.
out there and gotten this. So you're getting a ton of free bacon. How much weight is this? How much? I would assume I have only seen you and Stugotz here wander around eating bacon with no plate, no utensils.
Yeah,
you just
I love
wander around eating bacon with your hand.
I caught Zaslow doing it the other day.
Yeah.
I was proud of him.
No
We all
napkin.
did.
Zaslow also
Yeah.
did no napkin.
Right.
Yep.
I don't really.
No napkin. Yeah.
Just a piece of bacon
Yep.
grabbed with your hands.
That's how you eat bacon.
Yes.
How much bacon is there here, Chris? Do you have any idea? We're about to we're about to do this live.
I mean, the
Chris,
thing must weigh. What does that weigh, Christopher? 40 pounds?
It's a very large
50 pounds?
igloo.
What an exciting day, though, for Greg Cote. He's bringing home the bacon.
Yes, literally. Well said.
So you're going to put it in your car. You don't know how much this is. You don't know who to thank. You don't know how to open it. You're just going to open it noisily.
I need a knife.
Right.
Okay, great. So we now have, we will get this done at some point. In the interim,
Keep the knives away from Pete Rose.
Billy, unfortunately, we're going to need you here real quick in order to spin the wheel while Chris is in here, if you don't mind.
I'm spinning it?
No, but we need the sound.
Oh,
that doesn't
wheel.
work.
Yeah,
Yes, it doesn't really work if you're far away and just making a sound. That's not.
Now, Greg, keep your eye on the wheel, okay?
Okay.
'Cause
Yes, please.
Yes.
Because again, Greg, my greatest professional regret is up there. Will Smith's music is up there. Portland having a top 5 defense since the All-Star break and now trading for Drew Holiday is up there. The Rock's movie credentials, the Panthers going crazy, championship buses, and Pablo's story and Boost Mobile.
And side view mirrors.
Thank you. I hadn't seen that. That's not helpful, Billy. I don't want you in that seat anymore.
Applewood smoked
Wow,
bacon.
that is a ton of bacon.
Wow.
That is an amazing amount of bacon. Holy.
Jeez.
You're not going to be able to. That's a lifetime supply of bacon. That would last Pete Rose's entire life. That's that amount of bacon.
It would last me the rest of the day, I'll tell you that.
Wait a minute. That is a ton of bacon.
Damn right.
You're not going to be able to eat all of that.
Sure I will.
You will not eat all of
Yes,
that.
Oh, my God.
How long? That will take you a year to eat.
No.
Don't test him.
You haven't seen the Cotes. Uncle Dick and Greg Cote could probably eat that in a week.
Yeah.
Oh, guys.
If that.
Guys.
4th of July is right
What do
around
you
the
mean?
corner, too.
Look at that.
This is like 30 pounds.
Yeah, but you know it
part of
shrinks,
This is
right?
This
Right.
is. Yeah, I know it shrinks. This right here. This right here.
Shrinks.
That's what she said. What?
You get it?
Joke. Not Uncle Dick.
Not Uncle Dick.
Whoop, whoop. Put that back so it doesn't dry out.
He's working out right now. That's what he's
I
doing.
know. Bacon lifting. Getting my exercise in.
That was such a loud thump. Throwing that bacon
Putting it
down.
upside down as well. Doesn't respect the bacon.
I'm uncomfortable. I put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are you uncomfortable when the 70-year-old makes the "that's what she said" joke?
Why?
So awkward.
The Rock is now going for an Oscar, Stugotz, with an A24 film. I don't know if you've been following what A24 is doing, but they are changing the entire industry of movies because they make movies for about $8 million a pop on average. They've made 150 of them, about, not very many, and they make good things. Everyone knows it. The Rock wants a reinvention in his 50s. Wants a reinvention where people respect him as an actor, and the way to do that is to pair with A24, the studio that makes the best things. Again, it's not just, this is an interesting and novel concept, and learning a little bit, very little bit, about the movie industry recently. It gets sort of convoluted and polluted with middle managers and production people and an assortment of other things. And then the next thing you know, the director's not in charge anymore. The thing that A24 does is at a minimal cost, they say, go director, go. Go make what you want to make, and we will not get in the way by having to prove that we are important people, executives. And A24 has had creative success because they're giving creative freedom to people who crave it and want it, and they've got an efficient model that, again, $8 million on average for a movie is very little money in order to get a movie made.
Well, have you read the early reviews for The Smashing Machine? Stugotz, you may know from your time at the Masvidal fight in Madison Square Garden where you were pictured with The Rock. You were beside him on the stage.
Yeah.
The Rock announced to that crowd back then, which seems like a long time ago, that he was making this film, The Smashing Machine, based on a great documentary that was made in the early 2000s. A24 does empower directors. The Safdie brothers were a great directing duo. They split up. Benny Safdie is directing this film. And what Dan highlighted has usually worked out for A24. However, it seems as though from the early reviews, and granted still a small sample, is that Benny Safdie decided to make a mockery of biopics with this film. And apparently the only person playing it straight the entire time is The Rock. And people are really confused by the film. especially with the leading man playing it so straight, so very clearly going for an Oscar. In fact, if you see the early lines, he's like plus 800 to win the Oscar, which is pretty good odds. He's like third favorite right now. And I don't know if you've seen the other roles that he started stacking up, but he's working with Scorsese. Usually when studios see the dailies and they know that someone has a really good performance, they start agreeing to these movies. It's how Matthew McConaughey, hey, True Detective's awesome, Dallas Buyers Club's happened, and then all of a sudden he's got Interstellar and he's working with all these great directors. But this is going to really test audiences because people who have a palate for A24 and a lot of weird things were totally knocked on their ass by this film, not knowing what the hell it was.
Stugotz, I will tell you, and you've heard me marvel before at the reinventions of people like Madonna late in life, are able to do things over decades where you keep growing into a different thing that doesn't atrophy. The Rock, as an entertainment conqueror, has had one of the most amazing careers you can ever find from somebody who isn't a traditional actor and was like a Canadian Football League player with no money, who had wrestling chops and charisma and parlayed it into now in his 50s, wants to creatively be something bigger than the big dumb movies that he's been. It's hard to reinvent yourself in the 50s, in your 50s. I've seen here Steve Martin and Martin Short are keeping their careers alive late, but The Rock isn't.
But they're playing to their strengths is what they're doing. His strength is movies like Skyscraper and Rampage, you know?
Jump out of a building that's on fire with one leg.
But has that not run its course? Not just for him.
No, it never runs its course.
For us,
Right.
not just for him, for us. I thought that the decay of movies in recent years has been about just make a bunch of Marvel movies and also The Rock and Kevin Hart will be in everything and it'll run its course. And it's run its course, and now The Rock is seeking some sort of reinvention here with something that's totally different and is him wanting to be taken seriously as an actor.
Right. So it's run its course for him.
Yeah.
Right.
The early reviews, though, made me feel bad for him because if Benny Safdie decided to have a take on the entire genre and kind of poke fun at it in his own way, I felt really bad for The Rock, who has worked very hard to try to get this film made. When he spoke to us at Madison Square Garden, he said that he's been trying to get this movie made for the better part of 20 years, and that was 6 years ago. So to finally get to that point and to have A24 and a great cast around you and to kind of be made the butt of a joke that is nuanced and layered. Hopefully this is just early reviews and editing softens it a little bit because by all accounts there's a really good performance in there.
But it's supposed to run dark and it's supposed to be a mental health challenge, is it not? Like this.
The main takeaway that a lot of the critics had was they were utterly confused by what Benny Safdie was trying to do. Some of them were following and maybe they missed the point, but they're like, is this just Benny Safdie taking a crap on biopics as a whole, trying to follow a formula while The Rock is pouring his heart into this performance? Is that what The Rock actually signed up for when he was making this movie? I'm sure he met with the director, and I don't think Benny Safdie's putting one over on The Rock, but maybe that's what it took to get it made. He's already lined up a lot of high-profile projects. It seems as though people are going to be able to silo Dwayne's performance, but if it's a movie that is making fun of itself and The Rock is kind of playing it serious, I'm not sure how that's going to play.
Blow something up.
Yep.
We don't want to know. I mean,
Thank you.
Listen, you want to know a telltale sign that this may not work out? He returned to the Fast and the Furious when he vowed to never do that. So he knows where his bread is buttered, and he needs to keep doing it. Let me tell you something, Dwayne Rock Johnson. He's being very selfish with this new thing that he's doing where he wants to evolve. Oh, I want to evolve. I want to win an Oscar. I want to have this career evolution in my 50s. How about you think about me and stop thinking about yourself and the movies that I want to watch you in and not the movies that you want to make? Right. It's incredibly selfish of him to decide that all of a sudden he's going to stop making these blockbuster hits and action comedies and do these movies that I'm probably not going to watch.
Didn't Van Damme do something like this, where a documentary that was done artfully by a filmmaker to make fun or parody himself? Wasn't this done already?
Right, but he was in on the joke. Yeah. And by all accounts, the Rock's character does not.
He's zigging, everyone else is
yeah,
zigging.
he's
right.
playing it straight, going for his Oscar. Meanwhile, Safdie's doing something on the genre as a whole. The Rock's got a full plate right now. He is chairman of the board of TKO. Like that is an important position. That is a big time day job.
I mean, has he not heard of the Expendables? Doesn't he know how this is going to end? He wants to get away from the action drama, then boom, all of a sudden you're in a submarine or whatever with Kelsey Grammer, of all people, still blowing things up because you need to get back to the action genre.
I should clarify. He's not chairman of the board, but he's on the board of directors, which is also kind of a full-time job.
Spin the wheel again, please. Spin the wheel again.
How are him and Kelsey Grammer doing the opposite in terms of, like, career reinventions?
Mm-hmm. Boost Mobile. Huh?
Wow.
It's the Boost Mobile Boldest Take, and it's presented by Boost Mobile, the newest 5G network in the country.
Yo, it's Dave from 336. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are better when they have been in a backpack for a day or two, and they've been smushed so that all the jelly is inside the bread.
Hey, yo, this is Chuck from Dayton on the mobile. First time, last time. This one's for Mike Ryan. Keanu Reeves. Better action star than Tom Cruise. I ain't gonna listen.
Hey, this is Michael from Chicagoland. Why don't we have names for our toes the same way that we do for our fingers? On your hand, you've got the thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. But on your foot, the only names we really got are the big toe and the pinky toe or little toe.
Yeah.
We don't have names for the other three.
Hey guys, first time, long time. A shot for your life. Caitlin Clark or SGA? I'm going to hang up and listen.
Croissants as a singular entity or flavor, like blueberry or chocolate, phenomenal. As a sandwich, straight trash. Has no integrity. It can't hold grease. It can't hold bacon properly. Yeah, but throw a little blueberry in there. Phenomenal.
Hey, Sledge from Ohio. You know how a championship team, they win the championship and then have a parade afterwards, right? I think the worst team in the league, they should also have a parade where the audience gets to throw tomatoes and rotten vegetables and stuff at them.
Hey, Dan, first time, long Dang it.
Tomorrow night on our YouTube channel, I am inviting you all to enjoy Tim Kirkshin, an evening of baseball with Tim Kirkshin, and whatever surprises we throw at Tim Kirkshin, because we just want to watch some baseball with him. And really, the original idea for this, him and Mike Shore, when they talk to each other, it's like watching two 9-year-olds trade baseball cards and like meet each other and become immediately stepbrothers, like best friends, because they speak a 9-year-old's language about enthusiasm, about just loving the craftsmanship of baseball. So Tim Kirkshin and an assortment of others will be with us, including, I'm hoping, Dizzy Dean over here, Greg Cote. Does he look more like Dizzy Dean or does he look like Casey Stengel when I say to you he's an old-timey baseball player, and that is exactly the pitching motion that an old-timey baseball player with that kind of glove should have. That glove,
Holy shit.
That glove is
Look at that
great.
glove.
Does he look more like Dizzy Dean or does he look like Casey Stengel or does he look like any number of the players from the 1800s who went by the name Heine?
That guy's got Cody ears.
He does.
Yeah.
I have Greg as a Dazzy Vance. That's who I have.
Dazzy Vance, a good name.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Those ears, though, on Casey Stengel, I'd never noticed them. They are Frisbees.
Good God.
Those, I had never noticed the size of Casey Stengel's ears before.
They look like fake ears, like rubber ears.
They are twice the size of normal human
Greg, bust your ears out. My dad's, the Codys have big ears.
Wait, Greg Cote, I've never seen. Let's see what we've got here.
Not as big as this guy,
Dizzy
but
Dean,
close.
yeah, not quite. Casey Stengel is the name, not this guy.
Put some respect on his name. I mean,
seriously.
Your son has no respect for old people.
Nobody
Greg.
knows who that guy is.
What do you
Casey
mean?
Stengel.
What are you
He's a
talking
famous ball player.
Right,
I mean,
but by
famous
look,
manager.
I'm supposed to know what I've heard the name before, but I'm supposed to know what that guy looks like.
I thought he was black.
I mean, come on.
Put it on
who's
the
that?
poll. Put it on
Dan
the
and
poll.
Greg? Who's
Did
this
you-
guy?
Did you think that is that Walter Johnson? Did you
Oh,
think
wow, you're
that
good.
I don't know if is it. I don't know whether it is.
It's Dazzy Vance.
Okay, that's Dazzy Vance. I'm sorry.
Back then, the players who were that guy's probably in his mid-30s. He looks my age.
He looks like Zaslow. He looks
It does look like Zaslow.
He does.
When he was doing mornings?
So, Jeremy, are you okay?
There's only two things on this planet that can make you age at that: morning radio and coming back from World War II.
Jeremy, are you okay? It seems
I'm
like
okay.
you went out and you creatively. This is I do enjoy about our environment. Not unlike Kevin Bacon's Footloose, where he blew off some steam by going to a local warehouse and dancing. That when we bully you, you run out into another room and you make music about your pain.
Yeah, that's how I cut loose. It's for me, I felt like nobody wanted to hear what I had to say about NBA free agency and the NBA offseason, so I would go do the one thing that I'm valued for, which is make some songs.
No.
Song and dance, man.
No, that's
Let's
not
go ahead
what
and play
happened.
it.
No, you
Let's
were spreading
go ahead and play it.
pro-suicide propaganda
Let's go
in
ahead
game
and
form,
play it.
and we said, please
Let's
leave. This
go
isn't
ahead and play the
appropriate.
song. Video team, please play the song.
No one cares about the champs make trades. First round picks are going down the drain. Can't believe the Magic traded for Cobain. Here the Suns just traded KD. Surely now he'll make it to my team. Oh geez, I never really wanted him anyway. Who's next? Is it DeRozan and Moran Markkanen? Who would have thought the Blazers would be trading for True Holiday?
Why don't you?
Can already tell it didn't matter. It's fine. All
Minor
right. See you
penalty, 2
tomorrow.
minutes rambling.
Oh, no.
Wish you would have said that tomorrow. It's a delayed penalty.
Take a day off. You seem tired. Did a lot of Marlins work. Why don't you take a breather?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes rambling.
Cruz, we can break anyone.